precedent to have a number of presentations today. I'd like to call our first presentation will be given by Councilmember Martin Ludlow.
Good morning, colleagues. It's a real honor to be here this morning to present a resolution. We're going to recognize make two presentations this morning. The first is to recognize a community-based organization that has been designed to empower, educate, and serve at-risk youth for many, many years. The Youth Mentoring Connection is one of the various organizations that contribute to the success of many of the young people, not only in the 10th Council District, but throughout the city of Los Angeles. The Youth Mentoring Connection is a California-based nonprofit organization that was initiated by Los Angeles native Tony LaRae and his wife Jennifer in November of 2000. The organization is dedicated to improving the lives of at-risk youth through one-on-one mentoring, bringing positive, caring relationships together with adults, and supporting life skills and empowerment programs. The Youth Mentoring Connection serves more than 1,500 youth throughout the city of Los Angeles, providing expert assistance, program monitoring, evaluation session coordination. They facilitate, as I mentioned, one-on-one programs, as well as bringing in guest speakers from throughout the city of LA. They work as a liaison between the young people and many of the community-based centers, as well as local schools. The primary objective is to engage comprehensive and successful efforts to bring about youth achievement, both in the academic setting, through increasing school attendance, promoting high school graduation, and developing positive employable perspectives. The second objective is to help move these objectives forward through a productive relationship with many levels of the government, both the school districts, city, and county. And so I wanted to take an opportunity here today. Both Tony LaRae is here along with his sister, and I should note in honor of Valentine's Day, this board member, Linda LaRae, many of you may recognize her, is the CEO of Fredericks of Hollywood. And so wanted to, on behalf of Valentine's Day, now, see, everything I just said about youth empowerment and mentoring, all of a sudden everybody's now tuned in to Fredericks of Hollywood. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, I'd like to present to both of you the Certificate of Commendation, and in doing so, also want to recognize who you will speak about in a moment. An individual, Michael Tushin, who's here with us, who was recognized by your organization as the Humanitarian of the Year. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to the founding president to make a few comments, Tony LaRae. Congratulations, Tony.
Go ahead, please. Thank you very much. Well, this is great. Thank you, Martin. Our kids today in the inner city need us more than they ever have. And sometimes all it takes to turn a life around is simply somebody from their community looking in their direction and letting them know they count. And so what we specialize in is getting corporations to come to the fore and mentor our kids. We bring them to the worksite lots to be mentored. In order to do this work, it takes a lot of support and it takes a lot of people. And I'm blessed today to have actually the three first supporters of our organization years ago, and because of them we've been able to match over 1,600 kids with mentors. You heard about Linda LaRae, my big sister, who runs Fredericks of Hollywood, and then we have Renee Fraser, who is she founded California's largest woman-owned ad agency, and has just been an angel to our organization. And then Mike Tushin, who we'll be honoring Tuesday night at our gala at the Beverly Hills Hotel as a Humanitarian of the Year. He was the first person to answer the call when we said we needed help. We need funding to do these programs to help these kids. Mike was the first guy to say, I'm there for you, and every single time we've asked, he's come forward. Excellent. And we looked at how he does business too, and we found that there's a connection. The way when he works with his clients, he works in a healing way. You don't hear attorneys spoken about the way that people talk about Mike. They say, caring and compassionate, and he makes us feel good to work with him, and so on and so forth. And the connection is that's what we try to do with our kids. And so when people like that come forward to give our kids the message that they do count, lives are turned around. And because of these three individuals behind me, I know that lives have literally been saved. And we have kids in college now that were not destined for that. And kids all over Los Angeles feeling, much better about their lives and their prospects because of this kind of help. And Martin, from your support too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Michael, would you like to say a few words? Michael, I'd like to ask you to say a few words as the Humanitarian of the Year.
Thank you. It is my honor to be involved with a wonderful organization such as the Youth Mentoring Connection, and I'd like to thank you very much and thank the other members of the council for recognizing the Youth Mentoring Connection. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Ludlow.
We'll head back up. We'll head back here.
For our next presentation, let me recognize Councilmember Villaraigosa.
Just follow me through.
Might as well come up. Foremost. Oops. Yes. And the team here. There we go. Mr. President, members, I have the distinct honor today to announce and congratulate and provide a presentation to the Loyola High School cross-country team, state champions once again. If you remember, and I have this big Cheshire cat smile on my face, if you remember, we were here just a year ago with the football champions, and so these are honors that Loyola seems to get more than their fair share of, and we'll share with you just why that is. In the words of one publication that follows high school track in California, when it comes to Loyola High's 2004 cross-country season, one could not have written a more improbable winning script. Mark Matusak, who's standing right here behind me, had his greatest season ever. Matt Miller was both a star in his own right as well as a key part of the Cub team. And Bennett Duvall, a standout on the volleyball court, helped Loyola Highs grab its second state championship in 3 years. This team is comprised of some very talented individuals, and together they've made an amazing collective performance as a team. 2 years ago, Loyola surprised many by overcoming many setbacks and rallying in the postseason to end the year as the Division I state champs. But 2004 brought new challenges. Loyola's depth appeared lacking to some, and unproven talent would need to answer the call. Starting with an exceptional early season effort at Mount Carmel Invitational and continuing with a fine late season performance at the Santa Clarita Invitational, the signs of promise were occasionally flashing. Matuzak, known as the comeback kid, rattled off a series of convincing victories despite a loss at the Mount Sac Invitational in October. He then made a daunting bid for an unheard of 14-19 clocking at the CIF Finals. I have a young man who works for me from Stanford. He was also an all-state cross-country runner. When I gave him that time, he said, "No, that's not possible." And I said, "Yes, it was." And sure enough, here we are. Instead, Matusak met each of the first 4 prescribed target splits for the 14:19 clocking, but then struggled in the later half of the race to shut down and still run 14:36 that day. Miller, the blue chip kid, signed with UC Berkeley in mid-season, then handled the late season pressures with ease en route to all CIF honors and a personal best of 15:27 clocking. But it was in the state championships in Fresno that Loyola would need more than the individual efforts by Matusak and Miller. Bennett Duvall, Will McGregor, and Ethan Myers, Charlie Hernandez, and Julio Martinez answered the call. As Coach Lalo Diaz, not just a great coach, but a longtime friend, we went to another high school, Cathedral High School, together. He says, never underestimate the power of teamwork. When kids believe and work together, anything can happen. I've had an opportunity to see this team and the many teams of Loyola High School. And I was saying just a few minutes ago that when you look at what makes these teams so different, so accomplished on the field, it's this character that they have as a team, their work ethic, their ability to work together as a team, their incredible fortitude. And I'm very proud to welcome this year's state champions, Loyola High School. With us today is the president of Loyola High School, the Reverend Robert Walsh. I'd like to have him say a few words.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. President and council members, it's again my honor to represent our school community, and thank you for honoring us. This is only the second time in our 140-year history that Loyola High School has won a state championship, and I'm glad to say both of them have been won by our cross-country team. On behalf of our coaches, all of whom are teachers and all of whom are doctors, by the way, Coach Diaz, Coach Mesa, Coach Moody, we want to thank you for this great honor, and on behalf of our entire championship, I thank you. We like to share the pride that you have in this great city of Los Angeles and feel that pride in representing Los Angeles, not only as the oldest educational institution in the city and in Southern California, but especially in bearing the name of Los Angeles. So thank you for this great honor, and I'd like to express my deep and personal thanks to Councilman Villaraigosa for this honor today as well. So thank you very much, and if you don't mind, our captain would like to say a word to you.
Yes, but before he does, we're going to have the coach say a few words. Coach Lalo Diaz.
Thank you again, Los Angeles City Council. It's an absolute honor to be here before you, and as we were 2 years ago. But it's a tribute also to these young men who ventured through the streets. And a lot of people ask us, how could you possibly train these kids in cross country? And you're right in the shadow of Staples Arena. And it is because I think the community has embraced this team. And we see Councilman Labange, who's himself an accomplished runner. We run into him at Griffith Park, and the city does provide for us areas to train, and we appreciate that. And on behalf of the coaching staff, we definitely say thank you.
And now for Mark Matusak.
Mr. President, members of the council, my name is Mark Matusak, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for this great honor. On behalf of Coach Diaz, Dr. Mesa, and the rest of the championship team, including Coach Moody, thank you very much for bringing us here today to honor us.
Mr. Dudlow? Excuse me, Mr. Labange.
Can I have...
Thank you. Before the formal presentation, Father Walsh, Coach Diaz, the state champions, all the Loyola community, it's very exciting. It is the oldest high school in the city of Los Angeles, if I have my history correct. And it is absolutely a beautiful campus that is in the heart of the city. Your work at Loyola is to be commended in the classroom and on the athletic field as well, and in your community. Loyola High School students have a project every year to work in the community somewhere in Los Angeles. And I know that's being copied by our public schools, but that's an outstanding quality of Loyola students that I'm very proud to stand up. And Antonio, I'm very proud too, because there's going to be a sign in the Greek Theater parking lot soon, and it's going to say, home of the state champion Loyola High School Cubs cross country, because they train in Griffith Park. They run those trails in Griffith Park, and they're there at 6:30 in the morning. And your parents are to be commended too, because anyone who is a student is going to have success when they get pushed by their parents. And anyone who's a student athlete who's successful is going to really thank you. You should all take your parents out to ice cream this weekend, there, Cubs. But
That's right.
you push them. They drive early in the morning because Loyola serves all of Southern California, miles and miles away, and they come to Griffith Park and they run the hills below Mount Hollywood and near the observatory by the Greek Theater. I'm just proud of Loyola High School, state champions. They never could take it away. Congratulations, and congratulations to you and your careers in college. But the most important thing that Loyola teaches you, I think, among many things, is your work in the community. Because there's nothing like the extra work you do. It's that extra mile that you run. So I just wanted to stand and salute the Loyola High School Cubs for all their championships, state champions, world champions in my book. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
I also want to acknowledge a couple of the other members of the cross-country team that I didn't mention, Alejandro Pinel and Daniel Estrada, who are here with us, and all of the parents and the families. These boys work out every morning from 6:30 to, I think, 8 o'clock, I guess, and then in the afternoon as well. My friends who have run cross-country say there are few people that work as hard as this team, and you're right, Mr. Labans. Their parents are oftentimes there as well at all of the meets, and we're very, very proud of them. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles and our esteemed City Council, I'd like to present you with this acknowledgement of this state championship. Hang it up on your walls with the 2,000 other trophies and acknowledgments of academic and sports success. Thank you very much. Thank you. And to Coach Lalo Diaz, congratulations for another state championship and for the commitment. He takes 2 weeks out of the year in the summer with his wife, who's here today, and they have a camp in the mountains. I think it's in Mammoth? In Mammoth. 2 weeks with this cross-country team. Very few people anywhere would do anything like that, and it's a demonstration. I want to thank the Reverend Michael Moody. Father? Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. Frank Mesa, the coaches. Felicidades. Big one? Uh-huh. Alejandro Pinel. Congratulations. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Why don't you get him? Ethan Myers. He's not here. Daniel Estrada. Congratulations, Daniel. William McGregor. Julio Martinez. Congratulations. Bennett Duvall. I'm going to give this one last. Charles Hernandez. Oh, you're a junior, right? I'm sophomore. Oh, wow. That's great. Matt Miller. Thank you very much. Congratulations on Berkeley, by the way. Thank you very much. That's great. And of course, Mark Matusak. Thank you. Very nice. You're number 2 in the country? By the way, I didn't say Mark Matusak was the number 3 runner in the nation. Great young boys. Thank you. Oh, my goodness.
As a token of our gratitude, we have a couple gifts for Councilman Villaraigosa, and and Mr. Labange for their generous support. So there's some Loyola t-shirts. So thank you very much. Right. It's a great honor.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to take pictures.
Thank you, Mr. Villaraigosa. Colleagues, before beginning the next presentation, let me ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Cardenas, Garcetti, Gruel, Han, DeBonge, Ludlow, Miskowski, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Smith, Villaraigosa, Whiteside, Padilla. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. The council is officially in session. Let me ask Mr. Villaraigosa to conduct his second of two presentations. Following Mr. Villaraigosa, we'll go through the agenda and dispense with consent items, colleagues, and then we'll return to presentations. Mr. Villaraigosa.
Yeah, members, please help me in welcoming Bayani Aquino. Mr. Aquino, how are you? Good to see you. Yes, thank you. Mr. Aquino is retiring after 30 years of service to the city of Los Angeles. Yanni, as we all call him, is a fine example of an outstanding city employee. He has received the Citywide Quality and Productivity Award for case management accomplishments. In over 30 years, he has facilitated and coordinated several of City of Los Angeles monumental projects, including the Staples Center, the Queen of Angels Cathedral, the Kodak Theater, the Mariachi Plaza, and several much-needed affordable housing projects around the city. Yanni's strong work ethic and dedication was evident in the day-to-day duties in facilitating the building permit process for many council offices. And as a building and safety case manager in neighborhood council liaison, he directed concerns and issues to obtain positive resolutions. Yanni's expertise, patience, and bridge building skills between constituent, a developer, and the city will be missed by many. Yanni is a member of the City of Los Angeles Department of Disability, the Oversight Committee for Disabled Access, a member of the International Code Council, a member of the Design Review Committee of Rowland Heights Coordinating Council, and a member of the St. Elizabeth and Seton Church Parish Council. Yanni's favorite hobbies are karaoke singing, much like Mr. Garcetti, strolling down the beach with his wife, Leticia, and taking care of their lovable grandson, Jeremiah. Yanni plans to spend his retirement in the company of his wife, their children, Christina, Bryant, and Joseph, and their daughter-in-law, Amy Jade. So on behalf of the City Council and the Council District, we wish you best wishes for a wonderful retirement.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Ms. Gruel.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla. I just wanted to add my congratulations, Yanni, to all that you have done for my council district. You've been an integral part of our team in addressing a number of issues, an untold number of communities that you have helped throughout the city of Los Angeles. So I wanted to add my congratulations to Antonio's, to your 30 years of service to this city, and to your family for sharing you with us, and for your commitment. You're really a dedicated public servant, and we will miss you. We hope you'll still keep in contact and let us know how we can do things better in building and safety, although Andrew would say everything's fine in building and safety. They're doing a great job, which they are. But we hope that you will keep in touch. Enjoy your family and enjoy your retirement. Thank you.
Would you like to say something?
President of the Council and all the Council members, it is a great honor for me, and I just want to say I want to accept this honor on behalf of all the building and safety staff that have helped me to do my job the way it's been said here right now. Without these people behind me here, I could have not accomplished what I did. And I want to thank everybody, and it's a pleasure serving all your council districts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going back.
Thank you, Mr. Villaraigosa. Colleagues, before calling the next presentation, if we can go to the agenda and dispense with consent items. Mr. Clerk, first order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Hahn moves and Mr. Garcetti seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Ms. Perry moves and Ms. Miskowski seconds.
On the regular agenda, items 1 through 9 are items for which public hearings have been held. Committee reports have been distributed to all members on items 6 through 9.
Numbers 1 through 9 are not before us. Public hearings having been held, a motion from the floor would be required to reopen the public hearings. There's no such motion. Do we have any requests for specials? Items 1 through 9. Seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those items are approved. Items 1 through 2 are ordinances and do carry over for a second reading. Next items, please.
Items 10 through 25 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Without objection, items 10 through 25 are before the City Council today. I do not have requests from members of the public to address the council on these items. Public hearings are open and closed. Members wishing to call any specials, 10 through 25. Seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. Items 10 through 14 are ordinances and carry over for a second reading. Next item, please.
On the continuation page, item 26 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Ms. Hahn would like to call that special.
I would like to call it special, and I also would like to move that we have another 20 minutes of public testimony on this item.
Okay, is there any objection to that, members? We'll call the 26 special. And is there any objection to reopening the public hearing? If not, then we'll do so for 20 minutes, 10 minutes on each side. Let us temporarily recess the regular meeting agenda. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll on the special meeting.
Cardenas, Garcetti, Gruel, Han, Labange, Ludlow, Miskowski, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Smith, Vitagosa, Whiteside, Padilla. 11 members present and a quorum.
Thank you very much. First order of business, please.
Item 1 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Okay, and we should call this item special. I know there's questions for staff on item 1 of the special meeting agenda, item number 1. Next item, please.
Items for which public hearings have not been held, items 2 and 3.
And I do not have requests from members of the public to address the council, items 2 or 3 of the special agenda. Any members wishing to call either of these special? Seeing none, let's open the roll on these items, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved, and if we can continue item number 1 from the special agenda back to the regular meeting, then we can at this point adjourn the special meeting, return to the regular meeting, and let me call up Ms. Perry for our next presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Your bill. Okay. Thank you. Today I'm standing with Mr. Bill Brown, Manager of Corporate Community Relations for IBM, and he is here with me to mark a very important week here in our city, the Black Family Technology Awareness Week. The number of African American families who own computers is rapidly increasing, and the percentage of these families that have internet connection is also increasing. But many do not have computer literacy needs that have been met to be able to use their computer in an effective manner that would allow them access to important information on the web or skills that can help land them a higher paying job. As a country, we must continue to narrow the gap in the level of computer skills by fine-tuning the relevance of web content and linking communities with quality internet connections and bringing a higher level of technology-based education to disadvantaged schools with limited resources. The effective use of technology leads to a better education, more career options, and a limitless future for individuals and their families. In order to continue to break down the barrier of a digital divide in communities of color, IBM is serving as the lead corporate sponsor of the Black Family Technology Awareness Week, which will take place next week, February 13th through the 19th. And as part of this important week, IBM will partner with local Los Angeles schools, churches, and community organizations to sponsor forums that demonstrate how technology is best used to improve quality of life for all. So I wanted to mark this week, February the 13th through the 19th, as Black Family Technology Awareness Week and commend IBM for taking the lead in ensuring a brighter future for all Los Angelinos. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Jan. And council members, it really is a pleasure. We've been doing this now for 5 years. Nationally, we hold a number of events during this week, in which this year we are emphasizing schools and elementary schools, where we go in and do events which include technology demonstrations and also programs to encourage the kids to stay in school and to take math and science courses and to go to college. And so we really emphasize that, and we emphasize where technology fits in that whole plan. And so this coming week we'll have 4 elementary schools throughout Los Angeles, which we'll be in. We'll be demonstrating current technology and future technology, things that most of us are dreaming about right now that may come in the future. And what we try to do is actually wow the kids, to try to get them to really tune in to what this technology is all about and how to use it. It's not so much that it's there, but it's how it's used. So it's a pleasure for IBM. It's an honor for us to be able to sponsor this and do this program. And I thank you for the recognition. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
For our next presentation, let me recognize Councilmember Labange.
I need the paper, Stacy. Thank you, Mr. President. As we've honored others this morning, we're honoring someone very special today who served the city for over 30 years. Could you believe that? 30 years? Is that right, Bernadette here?
That's right.
30 years of great experience this city is losing. But Bernadette Kirkwood, and I'm joined by my STEVA staff and also her colleagues from the Department of Water and Power. She's widely recognized in the economic development community and community affairs as a leader in our Los Angeles community, and has served the last several years at the Department of Water and Power. She previously was a deputy mayor for Richard Riordan and working with the city of Los Angeles in outreach for economic development. She went over to Water and Power to energize them, if I could borrow an electric term, and certainly did in their ability to partnership with business in improving economic development throughout our city. As deputy mayor under Mr. Riordan's administration, she was the director of neighborhood and community affairs, and in that capacity she was responsible for a wide range of activities, citywide field operations, targeting neighborhood initiative, constituent services, and also the various special events. She coordinated, implemented, and launched a very highly successful Los Angeles Neighborhood Convention, which to this day has transformed to our neighborhood councils, where they have their annual convention in that transformation. She also served as a Business Improvement District citywide coordinator, which is so important because we know as council members how important it has to have those neighborhood associations that focus on business improvement. She coordinated that and started that. She also held many other offices within our city government, including the Department of Building and Safety, the Community Development Department, our Department of Public Works, and also the Los Angeles Police Department. She has received numerous awards from the economic development, education, and community groups throughout our city for leadership and advocacy. She is an all-star. She serves currently on the Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation's Executive Board and is a member of the International Economic Development Council and the Utility Economic Development Council. She served on the Los Angeles County Library Commission, and she's a great graduate of Pomona College, which is such a special college out on the east end of this county. She's on their Alumni Association. She's on the board of the University of Southern California Minority Program in Real Estate and Finance, and also a friend of the John Tracy Clinic, which is so important in their work there. She, as I mentioned, went to Pomona College under her bachelor's degree, and she's married to the wonderful Ed Kirkwood, and they reside and have 2 adult sons who were here last week. But I was on the East Coast last week, and they were on the West Coast, and now they're back on the East. But we're together with Bernadette to salute her today for her 30 years of service to the people of Los Angeles. Please join me in a great resolution signed by Mayor James K. Hahn and all the members of the City Council to honor you, Bernadette Kirkwood, for your great 30 years of service.
Mr. Garcetti.
If I can just quickly add my thank yous as well. And Bernadette, I think Tom has it right. You're absolutely an all-star, and it has been a great pleasure in the last 3.5 years to be able to work with you. You are in a city of many capable people. You are one of the most capable that when you go to gets the job done. You don't have to convince Bernadette. She knows the merits of a good proposal and boom, gets to work and actually navigates what can be sometimes treacherous waters with great aplomb. And I really I'm going to miss you around here too. What you've been able to do on economic development has made a huge impact. And during a time when everybody has been going after DWP, they forget the great things that it does, especially in the way that it built this city and the economic development, how it founded VICA and how it helped Chamber get established, and how that legacy continued with your work, Bernadette. And whether it was working on some of the green power initiatives that we did to successfully make sure that this continues to be an area that we grow that industry here, or whether it's looking at making sure that small businesses and other entrepreneurs here have the accesses to the resources that they need, you've been a true champion. So continue to work with us, please, pretty please. Come back, visit, give us advice, but continue to help the city grow. I know that you will, but we will certainly miss your smiling face in committee and here in council, but I look forward to seeing it in the next context of your life. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to rise and thank you for all your hard work. I've seen you go from various areas performing admirably. You've always produced for the community. And on behalf of the constituents of my district, thank you for all your hard work. You work with the children, the small business people. Your presence has made a difference for many lives. Thank you so much for your hard work.
Thank you, Councilman Reyes.
Ms. Perry.
Hey, Bernadette,
Hey,
I was
Chair.
happy to meet your family the other night. I want to stand up again and say, so that they can see this on the video, that, you know, in this business that we're in, you never really get to leave. You know
No.
that, don't you?
No.
Okay. So I have lots of ideas of how you can continue on an ad hoc or a volunteer basis.
Okay.
But your experience is tremendous, and your personality, your charisma, and your attention to detail, and your willingness to follow through on whatever harsh, complicated, confrontational, difficult task you were ever given. You always followed it through all the way, and the business that we're in of public service, that means more than anything to the people we serve. So I'm going to miss you on a daily basis, but I know you're not that far away. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Ms.
Deputy
Gruhl.
Mayor, oh, Ms. Gruhl, I'm sorry, thank you.
That's okay. Bernadette, I don't want to repeat what everyone else has said, but you have been an extraordinarily effective member of the City of Los Angeles family, both while you were in the mayor's office and at DWP, and I think that you, I still can't believe that you're actually retiring, because I felt like we were just starting to do some really great projects, and I know that you will share your wealth of information and your commitment to your colleagues and everyone at the DWP, how important it is for the economic development programs that you were part of continue, and working with the mayor's office to do that. So thank you for being such a dedicated employee, but also a good friend to so many of us around this horseshoe. It felt like a friendship rather than a business relationship, because you were always there, morning, noon, and night, weekends, really committed to the city. So thank you for your service, and enjoy your retirement. Don't go work for Jan Perry on volunteer basis. Make her pay you, okay? Anyways, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to add as well, Bernadette was in the mayor's office when I first got to the city council and saw her move over to DWP. And in addition to the great work she's done helping leverage DWP resources for economic development, I know she was the one that made my idea happen, and that's to leverage DWP resources for affordable housing through energy efficiencies and conservation measures. So I just want to personally thank you for your work on that and wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just before Bernadette speaks, Deputy Mayor Renata Simrall is here from Mayor Hahn's office.
I just wanted to make two quick remarks. One, on behalf of Mayor Hahn, thank you for your 30 years of public service. You set the standard for economic development, not just in the city, but in the mayor's, not just in the mayor's office, but in the city, and you're going to be sorely missed. On a personal note, I wanted to just thank you for your commitment to public service and for being a mentor and a leader and showing myself and so many young other people who've come after you, what it means to be a good public servant. You will be personally missed, professionally missed, but I look forward to working with you in the years to come.
Thank you.
Please welcome Bernadette Kirkwood.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. President, council members. I am overwhelmed by your kind words. I'm so glad to see our former councilman David Cunningham here. He had no idea, but you were a part of what I wanted to talk about. I truly am a child of the city family. And I started working for the city when I was 14 years old. And I know most people don't believe that, but I was actually 14, and I worked every summer until I graduated from college. I came back as an adult, and I've been here now for 30 years. And one of the first jobs that I had actually was in a department called, it was Office of the Building in Public Works. It's now General Services Department. And it was down in the basement, and I had some of the best mentors that you can imagine. Many of these people have gone on, and many of them are still around, and believe it or not, they may be tuning in to us every now and then, and I just want them to know that they are remembered and revered. And some of those people were people like Lydia Gant and Yvonne Palacios and Gloria Riles and Jack Matthews, who was the superintendent in charge of the window washers. And all those guys feel like I was their kid, and they were helping to grow me up. So when they would see me in different positions, they were always very proud of me as I was of them. And many of them were elevator operators, and those are the people who really gave me my grounding. I'm so pleased and proud that I knew them. And then one of the next jobs I had was actually running that voting machine where that young lady is right now. And I ran the voting machine before there was actually a little, it was electronic, so I was 10 ayes, 5 noes. And that was in the early 70s. And I actually sat there with who was then the president, John Gibson, and Monty. And I remember Henry Rio and Chuck Port and Aram Amassian, and I went to the Chief Legislative Analyst's office, and Avaka's here, and Avaka's probably the only person who's still there. In fact, Mr. Deaton, when he hadn't even come to the CLA's office when I was there, and he and I joked. In fact, he was at Water and Power, and I was at CLA, and now he's there, and now I'm leaving, so I don't know what's with that. But also in building and safety, there were people like Jack White and Jim Wheeler, who attended my wedding. One of the things I did while I worked here in the city of LA 29 years ago, and had our 2 sons, Mark and Brian, who live in Atlanta and were here last week. And the community development people, there were people like Fredia Harris, and there were people on the council back then that were very inspirational and helpful to me, like Dave Cunningham Sr., Billy Mills, John Ferraro, of course, and many others. There's so many things that I can say, but we have been able together in the Department of Water and Power to be very successful these last 3.5 years with economic development. And the only reason that is because of the dedicated and super talented people behind me, and I would really like to recognize them. My staff. Mudia, Cynthia, Adichia, John, where's John? Oh, John Chin.
Back to work.
Back to work. Richard Buongiorno and Maria Sharma. And my dear friend Jeff Walden, who has been my partner in crime since the very beginning. Thank you all for this, and I'll always remember it.
Hey, Valerie, we're going to take some pictures with Valerie in the back.
Okay.
You can go in the back right now. We'll go right this way
I'll
here.
just grab my
You
purse.
grab your stuff. We can get that. I'll get that for you. We're going to go this way right here. Thank you. Jeff, will you carry that for me? Maybe. Thank you. I'd like to thank the council for that nice presentation, a loving presentation for Bernadette Kirkwood for her 30 years and all the good joy. And I saw people ran out of their offices to come down and greet you, Bernadette. That's very nice. At this time, I'd like to call the Cub Scouts of America and the Boy Scouts of America as we join in their recognition for 75 years for the Cub Scouts of America and 95 years for the Boy Scouts of America. And good to see you all. Scouts, you get up here in front of these tall men so we can see you right up here. Appreciate that. Scouting is a very important value for both girls and boys, and the Boy Scouts has a long history of involvement in our community, engagement in their troops. And I know I was a Boy Scout, and enjoyed the experience of seeing Southern California and California. The Boy Scouts afforded me personally to climb Mount Whitney one time in the summer and hike 56 miles on the John Muir Trail. And I think that type of leadership that was afforded me has certainly been continued in affording our scouting throughout. First and foremost, I'd like to salute the Cub Scouts for their work for throughout the years in helping develop focus for young men in the scouting programs and working with our schools and organizations throughout. So on behalf of Mayor Hahn and the members of the City Council, I do hereby congratulate the Scouts on Cub Scouts on their 75th anniversary. And I'm going to present that to the head of the Cub Scouts, Mike Stevens. Michael, congratulations to you. Thank you very much. We're going to have you speak in a minute. And also on the Boy Scouts, and I do greatly support the Boy Scouts, and I say this in all appropriateness. I think it's important as we evolve as an organization that we always have our hands as wide as possible to include and understand the diversity of people, which is so important. And as the Boy Scout is evolving, I certainly salute them for 95 years. And Baden, I want to say Baden-Powell, but I have that correct because I remember that drilled in by my scoutmaster, Wilbur Hoyt, who was a DWP employee. Isn't that something? I just honored. He's passed since then, but it's funny how the cycle. Many of our city leaders in our departments have helped scouting, both Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, but the Boy Scouts since 1910, founded here in Chicago by publisher William Boyce, but originally by Baden-Powell, is celebrating their 95th anniversary. And the Los Angeles Area Council promotes the ideas of Boy Scouts by helping strengthen our community. All ages are asked to renew their support and dedication towards scouting, which is an important value to have. So on behalf of Mayor James K. Hahn of the City of Los Angeles and members of this City Council, I do hereby proclaim February 8th as Boy Scouts Day in America for the City of Los Angeles. I personally want to congratulate the Scouts, all of them, and I'm going to ask you to receive it. Yeah. Mr. Matthews is here representing. I apologize, Mr. Matthews. It's been a warm day. I'm not going to get my merit badge for naming correctly there. But I want to thank the Scouts. I want to thank the Scouts for 95 years and hope they have another 95 years in the work they do in the community. But as I mentioned too, I want them to open their arms as wide as possible to include all in the Scouts, which you do. And I just salute you on Boy Scouts Day in America. Congratulations to the Boy Scouts. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You want to speak, Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Councilman Labange, President Padilla, and the council members. Those are kind words, and they're very apt words. Boy Scouting was actually founded in England in 1907, and as Tom said, brought to the United States in 1910. It was congressionally chartered here in the United States in 1916, so we've enjoyed a 95-year history working in the city of Los Angeles. Let me tell you a few things about the lives we've touched, because right now across the country there are about 4 million people active in scouting, men, women, boys, and girls across the country. Here in Los Angeles alone, last year, we served over 51,000 young boys, girls, and young men, a lot of them at-risk youth. We have over 9,000 volunteers in the city of Los Angeles who make this work. It's inspirational when you consider the time and the talent and the treasure they provide to our council. It's inspirational. It's something that we are inspired to lead further. We also have our very loyal staff, and I'm joined by some of my fellow board members, but together it's what makes, I think, this city great. And as a businessman employing 150 people in downtown Los Angeles and a father of 4, I think we all share a common goal, and that's bringing up our youth for tomorrow with character, personal fitness, being educated in the ways of giving back to community, citizenship. That's what scouting teaches. I'm proud that as I look to the future of the city, that we're going to continue to be an important part of that. That's expressed in many ways, particularly community service. I think last year, Scouts helped raise over 500,000 pounds of food to the needy. And it might be something as simple as a small project of a single Scout putting his Eagle project together, helping rehab a home. So there's countless inspirational stories. We go on to look at the studies that show higher graduation rate in high school and college, and then a better income when they finally join the workforce. This is a program that deserves our support, and we will continue to support it with all our time and effort. I also want to tell you on this occasion that with the loss of our Lake Arrowhead camps in the Cedar Glen Flyers of 2003, we're beginning a $10 million capital campaign to not only replace what was there, but to build a premier camp to serve our kids, and particularly those at-risk kids who don't have an opportunity to get out of the city and enjoy the great outdoors in such an effective way. I'd also like to turn it over to really the star of our show. Victor DeLau is a Star Scout from Scout Troop 121, City of LA, Echo Park area. Victor.
Echo Park, good job. Let's give Victor a big hand. He's making his first speech.
Thank you. In behalf of the Boy Scouts of America, we'd like to thank you for observing the 95th anniversary of the Boy Scouts and for proclaiming February 8, 2005 Boy Scouts of America Day in City of Los Angeles. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor.
Oh, I go to Downtown Miami High School.
Downtown Magnet High, good job. From Betty Placentia School right here.
Galen Law.
First district, Galen?
Galen Law.
Galen Law.
On behalf of the Cub Scout program and 6,717 Cub Scouts within the Los Angeles Area Council, we thank you for your observance of the 75th anniversary of the Cub Scout program.
Well, thank you, Scout. These two young men right from our neighborhood at Echo Park and Temple Beaudry. All of you, I know you want to say something on behalf of the Cubs?
On behalf of Cub Scouts, Mr. President, council members, and Councilman Labange, thank you for recognizing our 75th anniversary. Scouting starts at 6 years old, developing character and values for the youth of this city. It helps them to become the young men that we all want and need and will be here perhaps tomorrow. And Scouting, as a result of it, serves this community by providing over 500,000 hours of community service annually in the Los Angeles area. That's what it does for the youth of this city. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's give the Scouts of Los Angeles a great hand and congratulate them on both their anniversary. We'll go in the back room there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. For our next presentation, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Jack Weiss.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This is a really special presentation. I'm standing next to United States Postal Carrier Louis Chang. He's a postal carrier with the Palms Post Office, and I brought him in today because several residents in the neighborhood that he services wanted to make sure that the city recognized him for what he is. He's a hero. You see, on November 20 of 2004, during his regular postal route, Mr. Chang was doing what he always does, and he noticed black smoke from the rear of a house on Kelton Avenue in the West Side Village area of my district. And without thinking for his own safety, he immediately rushed into action. He knocked on the door, no one was home, and he quickly roused the neighbors, got some garden hoses together, and started working furiously to put out the fire. And in fact, by the time the fire department got there, Mr. Chang had already extinguished the fire. Well, it turns out, and he had no way to know this at the time, and the neighbors had no way to know at the time, no one had any way to know at the time, that there was a good deal of fuel in the vehicle and otherwise in the house, and if he had not acted when he acted, that house would have exploded, and a couple other houses on the block would have also likely gone up in flames. He didn't think of any of that. He didn't think of himself. He just thought of the neighborhood that he works in for his job every day, and he doesn't work in a public safety capacity. He works for the United States Postal Service delivering the mail. And his story touched the hearts of people in West Side Village, and I wanted to make sure that you had the chance today to meet and recognize United States Postal Carrier Louis Chang. Thank you, Mr. Chang, for what you did.
Thank you, Los Angeles City Council, and I don't considering I'm a hero. I just do my job, and to me, the life is so important. And if I have to do it again, I will do it again. Thank you.
Thank you. Good for you. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss, and thank you to our Postal Service for their great work. Our next presentation will be from Councilwoman Hahn.
Take some photos in the back, so follow this guy.
There you go.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, baby.
How you doing?
Okay, my wife,
Hi.
Denise.
Hi, how are
My
you?
son,
Oh,
Ray.
good. Thank you, Mr. President. I know Councilman Parks wanted to join me in this, but I've been given the okay to go ahead, that he's not going to be here. But we're here today to celebrate Michael Stewart's 30 years of service to the city of Los Angeles. Michael is retiring after 30 years, and some of you may have stories you want to tell of Michael, who's been around a long time, and many of you know of his great work in general services. But I've got to say today that Michael's heart and soul have really been in the 15th Council District. Michael's, and I know that's the one he really loves. Michael, you know, started in John Gibson's office, worked for Joan Flores, and that's really where I became to know him, was in Joan's office. And Michael, I will say today, of all the things that you did, you really were responsible for the renovation and the retrofitting of the City Hall in San Pedro, and it is probably one of the most beautiful buildings that stands now in the harbor area. And you were also responsible for making sure that we began to bring services back to these neighborhood city halls so that we had departments that were actually had a counter in a neighborhood city hall so that people felt like government was closer to them. You have been such a great public servant, Michael. I know so many city employees who've worked here for so long in so many different capacities, but no one I know has the heart of a public servant like you. You have always been about serving. You've always been about what needs to be done. And when you and I have talked over the last 3.5 years, it was always, tell me what needs to be done, and I'm going to get it done. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful spirit. We're going to miss you tremendously. And I have here a beautiful plaque from the city of Los Angeles. I don't have my glasses, but I think it says something to the effect of, we're celebrating your 30 years of service to the city of Los Angeles, and both this full resolution signed by everybody and this plaque, Michael, is just such a small token of the high esteem that you are held in among the entire city family. So thank you. We're going to miss you a lot.
Oh, I'm going to miss all of you, too.
Well, look at everybody behind you.
Well, I have a short speech.
Just before you begin, may I indulge you with a couple other council members who want to speak on their behalf as well. Mr. Ludlow and Ms. Perry would like to add their remarks.
Yeah, we're not going to let you out of here that easy. I couldn't agree more with everything that Councilmember Hahn mentioned. Totally disagree with her on one thing. I remember you standing in the office in the 10th Council District saying, you know, Councilman, I just love the 10th Council District. This is really where my heart is. I really want to deliver for you. And so I just, you know, with all due respect, got to tell you, the heart and soul of the city in the 10th District is very, very honored to see you today, getting honored in the way you are being honored, and you deserve it. You've been an amazing public servant. I remember working with you right after the LA riots, watching you take that building near Vermont and Manchester. From the ashes rose one of the standard for building neighborhood constituent service centers. The first official mini-city hall in the city of LA was built under your guidance. And so that is a tough act for anybody to follow. I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in the years to come. Congratulations, Michael.
Thank you.
Ms. Perry.
I want to say to Ms. Hahn, he was a man for all districts. He handled it with diplomacy and with graciousness and meeting the needs of so many, always with a smile and with intelligence and good experience and in a thorough manner. And, people don't come around like you very often anymore.
Thank you.
And you will be missed, but congratulations on your well-earned retirement.
Good.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Well, to Councilmember Bernard T. Parks, Councilmember Janice Hahn, to all of the council of the Los Angeles City Council, to the mayor, I thank you for this resolution. My family is here, and my city family from General Services Department is here standing behind me, and I really appreciate them being here with me. It was a joy for me to be a civil servant in this great city. For almost 30 years, I have worked to serve the people of this great city. I enjoyed working for John S. Gibson Jr., working for Joan Milky Flores, working with Rudy Savornis Jr., working with Janice Hahn. It was a joy. I felt good every day because that was my calling. I feel that a civil servant is the best title that I can bestow upon myself. I enjoyed that time with all of you. I again thank you for this resolution, and I enjoyed working with the Department of General Services, working to bring the Constituent Service Center program throughout all of the city. And all of you, I believe, will one day have a Constituent Service Center to service the people on the local level so that our city, just like in the old days, when we went to the water and power office on the corner, when we went down and paid the bill, like my mother did and paying the bill at the spot where the city was. I enjoyed also working in the Great Ninth with Gil Lindsay, who was the great friend of John Gibson Jr., who was a great friend of Tom Bradley, who was the great friend of Kenny Hahn. So I just want to say that I enjoyed my time, and you know what? I look forward to working with you again in the future. Thank you.
Did you want to introduce your wife and son?
Okay, this is my wife Bernice here. Hello. And my son Rayfield. And I'm so happy to have them. And I also have my assistant general manager here, David Pascal. David. And Reginald Jones Sawyer and all of our staff. You're going to see them around. We're going to be bringing the goods to the city. Thank you.
Bernard.
Thank you, Councilman.
I'm going to ruin your reputation. Come up close.
I know, really. I don't want to be on TV hugging you.
I'm sorry I'm late. Obviously, my traffic plan isn't in operation right now. No, I just want to say thank you to Michael. 30 years is a long time. I can tell you that, attest to that. But I think you've seen a great number of changes. Certainly, people have relied on you. You've been the go-to guy at General Services for a number of years, and we miss you at the Constituent Center. I want to say that aloud. We miss you at the Constituent Center because you brought it on board. You were the one that kept it coordinated, and although you still oversee it, we miss you at the Constituent Center.
All right.
And so we just want to make that clear so that as General Services looks at its budget, is able to continue looking at maybe that position could get filled again. But you've done a wonderful job for the constituents of the 8th District, particularly that they rely on the volume of activity at the Constituent Center. As you know, people come from all the way from the valley to get a building permit versus going to downtown. And so we think you've done a great job. You set a model for the type of decentralized city services, and we're just appreciative and certainly want to say congratulations.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, colleagues. That ends our public presentations for today. Mr. Parks, if we're going to take up 3 items that I believe you're recused on. So if you want to step out for a second, we will take those up, and then we will take public comment, and then we will return to the ballot measure as the next order of business after public comment. So Mr. Parks has now stepped out of the room. Mr. City Attorney, would you like to tell us the items that we need to reconsider, colleagues, to make sure that we get a good vote on that?
Thank you, Mr. President. Our office respectfully requests that a council member move to suspend the rules and move for reconsideration of the following items from Wednesday's agenda so that the record may accurately reflect Councilman Parks' recusal from these items. Item 20, Council File 050104, Slade versus Gates. Item 21, Council File 050107, Banks versus City. Item 22, Council File 050108, Munoz versus City. And item 23, Council File 050109, Corrales versus City.
Okay, I will move to suspend the rules if someone would like to second. Ms. Mizikowski. Let's open the roll on suspending the rules. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay. I would like to now, I'll move to reconsider those items collectively. Ms. Mizikowski seconds as well. If we can open the roll on reconsideration. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
And if there's nobody wishing to be heard, let us open the roll on, should we do these individually or can we do them collectively? Collectively, we will vote on all three. We can open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Mr. City Attorney, if you will let us know the settlement amounts in those cases.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 20 was $1,750,000. Item 21, $275,000. Item 22, $250,000. Item 23, $250,000. And on a non-recusal matter from Wednesday that was not reconsidered, item number 24 from Wednesday, Oda Studdard, was for $175,000.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Attorney. We'll now move on to public comment. If I can invite forward at this time from the South Central Farmers, Mr. Ediogeno Rumbos, Mr. Raul Moreno Mendez, Ms. Mary Lou Escobar, Mr. Jose Esquivel, Patrick Ruano, Luisa Hernandez, and Mercedes Ruano. Bienvenidos.
Señor presidente y concejales, venimos más a luchar para que los dejen esas tierras para trabajarlas. Me llamo Ediógenes Lubiano Rumbo.
Hello, Mr. President, and all the rest of the council people. We're here to ask you to please leave that land for us to continue working on it. We want that land to be able to continue working on it.
Como campesinos que somos, estos señores y campesinas, andamos luchando.
As farmers that we all are, male and female, we're all farmers. We're here, we're fighting.
Por eso, señores gobernantes, estamos creyendo que ustedes los van a ayudar.
That's why, all of you council people, we're here to ask you, and we are sure that you all will be able to help us.
Yo soy un hijo de un campesino que lucharon como nosotros andamos ahorita.
I'm a son of a farmer who also struggled the way we're struggling and fighting right now.
Por eso, como campesino que soy, traigo este morral para demostrarles que le estoy diciendo la verdad.
That's why, as a farmer that I am, I have this backpack to show you that I am telling you the truth.
Ahora, quiero mandarle un mensaje a todos los padres de familia, madre y padre.
Also, I want to send a message to all the parents, mothers and fathers.
Que le den estudio a sus hijos o que le aprieten un poquito la mano, no a golpes.
To provide an education for the children, or to be a little more strict with them. And I don't mean being strict through beatings.
No hay necesidad señores padres de familia o de sus hijos, no necesitan golpearlos. A consejos se educan los hijos para que no anden en la calle perjudicando a las personas que están trabajando limpiamente.
Mothers and fathers, there is no need to beat your children. You need to educate the children with advice so that they will not be out on the streets damaging society and others.
Y muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Please.
Señores concejales, yo vengo con una
¿Su nombre, por favor?
opinión mía, ojalá.
¿Su nombre?
Mi nombre es Raúl Moreno Méndez.
Gracias.
Quiero que me escuchen un poquito todos los señores concejales. Vengo a un lugar donde mis padres me enseñaron unas raíces del campesino.
My name is Raúl Moreno Méndez, and I'd like to ask for your attention, please, esteemed council people. I come from, my roots are from my parents. They taught me how to be a farmer.
Son las raíces mismas que yo en el jardín donde estamos, quiero inculcarles a mis hijos para que no anden en las calles haciendo cosas indebidas.
Those are the same teachings that I was taught, and I want to teach my children at that garden what my parents taught me so that the children are not out on the community doing illegal activities.
Y también quiero que piensen un poquito en las 400 familias que están en el jardín. Si cerraran ese jardín, ¿qué harían póngale 2 personas por cada familia?
Also, I would like you to consider the 400 families that currently participate in that garden. Imagine if that garden is closed, what's going to happen to the, let's say, 2 members per family that currently attend that garden?
Si de por sí que así tenemos tanta violencia, tanta cosas que no deben estar en la calle, imagínense con 400 o 800 niños más que se van a ir a la calle si nos quitan ese jardín.
As it is, we have a lot of violence on the streets. Can you imagine what could happen if 800 more children are on the street without nothing else to do? They will be out on the street. That's what might happen if you take away our garden.
Por eso les pido que piensen un poco en nosotros y les agradezco su tiempo al pensar con nosotros. Muchas gracias.
That's why I please ask you to keep us in mind, and I in advance appreciate and thank you for your time and for thinking of us.
Gracias.
Hi, my name is Patrick, and don't take away my mom's garden because she likes it, and I like to plant the seeds, and I like to water the plants, and I like to play with my friend Anthony.
Thank you. Okay, I'm his mom. Good morning. My name is Mercedes Rano, and I will really appreciate, we keep the garden because I have 3 other children that, really gets into it. They are, 15, 16, and 20 years old, and it's really important for us to keep it, open, to be there, busy, working. That's all I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank both of you for your testimony today.
Buenos días. Soy Luisa Hernández, de 81 años. Para mí, pues, es un gozo estar en ese jardín, porque es una diversión, una entretención, o como decirles, una felicidad para uno, sembrar y ver nacer y recoger esas plantas para nuestra nutrición.
Good morning. My name is Luisa Hernandez. I'm 81 years old, and I'd like to tell you it's a great joy. It's a great rejuvenation to be able to be there, to be able to plant a seed and be able to grow. When you cultivate it, it nourishes your family, and it also provides nutrition for the family.
Pues le daríamos un agradecimiento a estos señores para que nos ayuden a permanecer cultivando esos pedacitos de tierra.
We'll be very appreciative of you if you all, gentlemen and ladies, can help us keep the garden so that we can continue cultivating the land.
Para nuestro sustento.
For our nourishment. Thank you very much.
Gracias.
My name is Francisco Javier Lozonio, and I'm a student at USC in the School of Social Work. And I want to thank Reyes, Garcetti, Mr. Padilla for actually sitting and listening to what these people have to say. And I want to say that it is a disrespect for the other members that are not paying attention to these children and elders that have been here sitting all day waiting to be heard. And now when they have the chance to be heard, they're not being heard. And I just want to say that that's a big disrespect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tengan buen día a cada uno de ustedes, señores concejales. Mi nombre es Marilu Escobar.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed council people. My name is Maria.
Marilu Escobar.
Marilu Escobar.
Como ya dijeron mis compañeros acá, pienso de que ya tienen entendido un poco de lo que se trata.
Like my fellow farmers have mentioned, I think you are aware a little bit of what we're here and talking about.
Les agradezco su fina atención y tengan un feliz día.
I appreciate your attention and have a good day.
Los veremos a la próxima.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Gracias. Okay. Our next speaker is Alma Ramirez from Mexicans Against Chilangos and Butt Kissers, William Morrison, and Candido Mares.
Thank you for reading it very well. Happy New Year to the Asian community, the Year of the Rooster. Akimemashite, omedetou gozaimasu, arigatou gozaimashita, shitsure shimasu. Today, I, with other millions, make a plea to the Governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that being that I, as a law-abiding Mexican and a Republican, non-neo-Nazi, and non-butt kisser, I have now changed my position on 2 pending bills. They are the following. First, immigration, close all borders. 2, driver's license, deny all driver's licenses to Chilangos, Chilangas, and all individuals coming from Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, Colombia, Panama, et al. We have given notice to the INS, Department of Justice, State Department, Homeland Security, the Supreme Court, the California Supreme Court, Carlos Moreno, etc., because these illegal aliens are criminal deviants, are coming here with extensive criminal histories, and they are like rampant child abuse. Aliases, bogus IDs, physically violent, no desire to learn manners, much less flush a toilet, theft, vandalism, filing false charges, criminal deviance, diabolical and menaces to society, creating unhealthy and unsafe living environments, and pathological liars. As such, it is incumbent upon me as a law-abiding Mexican non-butt kisser who gets lumped in with all these criminal deviants, and we end up being targeted by those who feel that illegal immigration influx is contemptuous, in which it is. I love the law, but a just law. Lastly, I will never vote for Chicano, Latino, or Chilangos because they have failed us miserably, as has been the case in point here. And Mr. Garcetti, you find it funny, don't you? However, I do want to acknowledge 2 great officers, and they are Sergeant Dave Cueto and Officer Scott Nunez of LAPD. 100% prime-time Mexican cops with honor, integrity, decency, and outstanding. And last, I want to just say thank you to Mayor Kurt Pringle for allowing the First Amendment right. He is a landmark. Mayor Kurt Pringle of Anaheim, you are absolutely phenomenal and a man of great decency who transcends racism.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments today. William Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. President, future colleagues of the City Council. Mr. Reyes, you should really pay close attention to this ordinance. Okay, last week you passed an ordinance, a DWP, which is ordinance number 176462. On the top it says the people of Los Angeles. Of course, the people of Los Angeles never got a choice to vote for this. In 20 more days you will be seeing the petition that I am sending out to this to try to get on the referendum. So this will be brought up tomorrow in our debate, Mr. Reyes, so just remember that. The one thing is, this was never brought to the attention of the homeowners. It was brought to their attention. The Apartment Owner Association are standing behind me, and I will work with them, also with the merchants, and also with Chamber of Commerce to get this overturned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Our last speaker will be Candido Maras.
Thank you, Mr. President, council members. I'm here to talk about item 19, which is the transfer of $20,000 from District 11 to District 6 for the Van Nuys Community Court. We thank you, Councilwoman Cindy Miskowski, who now represents the 11th and used to represent the 6th. You've never forgotten the people of the 6th District. We're very fortunate to have Tony Cardenas in that district. But again, it's because of the past, the things that you've done. For those of you that do not know what the Van Nuys Community Court is, it's one of few court programs throughout the United States. I believe there's only 6. What we do, rather than send people to jail, we try to work with them to find them programming, to try to find out what their issues are and try to resolve those issues for them. Councilwoman Miskowski, it saddens me that, and I know I'm not here, I'm not going to embarrass you, but it saddens to me to see that we're going to lose you in a few months. I wish that we could overturn term limits, because we're losing a lot of good people here that have done great things for us. And even if we couldn't overturn term limits, if we could extend it one more term, I feel that 8 years is not long enough. We need 12 years. So Councilwoman Miskowski, we thank you for the $20,000 for bringing life back to the community court. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mares. And just as a point of information, next Wednesday we'll have the consolidated plan, which includes block grant monies. And I know that the public records will reflect that Mr. Cardenas has advocated some monies on behalf of that next Wednesday is the vote in council. That closes our public comment period. If we can take up from the continuation agenda, I believe Ms. Hahn moved that we take 10 minutes on both sides, so 20 minutes collectively. Is there any objection to that, colleagues? If not, we'll move on that to invite 10 speakers in, sorry, not 10 minutes of speakers in opposition and 10 minutes of speakers who are for the proposal before us. At this time, I'd like to invite forward Jean Hale. This is for the affirmative side. Father John Moretta, Mary Lou Trevis, Ross Valencia, Luis Martinez, Bill Murray, Howard Uller, David Nichols, David Cunningham Jr., and Pat McOsker. Just to remind everybody, it'll be 10 minutes. We won't tell each speaker how long they have, but the quicker you are, the more speakers behind you will be able to speak. Welcome. Go ahead.
Good morning, Councilman.
Okay, hold on. 1 second, Mr. Lamont.
Run the clock back 10 minutes. Push it up as they do in the NFL. Back to 10.
We got it frozen. Don't worry.
Question. Can this clock run any way different, like 1 minute or 30 seconds so the speaker sees that?
No, it can't, but I can certainly say 1 minute.
Good, thank you, just to help
Okay.
everybody. Thank you,
Sure.
Mr. President.
Go ahead. We'll start the clock in 5 seconds.
Good morning. My name is Gene Hale. I'm chairman of the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce. I'm here on behalf of our board of directors to support the half-cent sales tax, simply because we think it's a good thing to do. We can talk about economic development in certain districts if we want to, but the truth of the matter is, if there isn't a perception of public safety, no one is going to locate into those areas. Just the opposite too, if someone were to locate into an area where there is not public safety, then again, they're going to pull up and go. I think one of the biggest reasons why the NFL, other than using LA for leverage in the past, the perception was not to bring a team to the Coliseum simply because the perception was the public safety issue. So again, I think now that they understand that the area is more safe than they originally thought. So now they're willing to give us the greater consideration. But again, it really doesn't matter if you have economic development without public safety, it just won't work.
Thank you.
Economic
That's 1
sense
minute.
only makes good sense if there's public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
Hi, Mr. President. My name is Father John Moretta. I'm the pastor of Resurrection Church for 21 years in Boyle Heights. And I'm here to ask for your yes vote. I understand we're missing some of the members that have voted for us in the past, but My community knows the importance of police. 2 years ago, we got a commitment from the federal government to implement Project Clear. In the 2 years prior to the implementation of Project Clear, we had 12 homicides in the projected area, roughly the southern section of Boyle Heights. And in the last 20 months, that same area has experienced 1 homicide. That's because of the concentration, the holistic approach of Project Clear. We know the importance of police, and I ask for your yes vote. It's a shame if mayoral politics is going to come in the way of public safety. We need your yes vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mary Lou Travis. I'm the president of the Mothers of East LA. I worked for 30 years, donated my time to the Hollenbeck Police Department, organizing the Neighborhood Watch program. I am aware that it is extremely important to have more officers on our streets. As meeting after meeting, I heard the plea of our residents for more police officers on our streets. I did meet with our Councilman Villaraigosa as he was running for the 14th district, and I asked him that we needed more officers on our street for the safety and well-being of our children. At that time, our councilman agreed with me. I hope that you continue to support me in that plea, Councilman. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Ross Valencia. I live in Boyle Heights on the greater east side of Los Angeles. I'm here to try to get your attention because apparently some of the blind are leading the blind. And I know you're not blind, but some of you might be deaf as to the wishes of our community. We need, and without any doubt, the support of the council in order to get the numbers of police that we definitely need, not only on the east side, folks, but in the entire city of Los Angeles. Be aware that maybe we're making the most noise, and we're little in comparison to the rest of the city, but without your support and doing the things that the citizenry of this city of Los Angeles wants, more police, give us that choice, give us that opportunity, put it on the ballot, let the people decide. If you don't feel that you can decide this amongst yourselves, in taking in the fact that some of this was asked for in our budget to add that kind of money. Now, again, I'm repeating myself, you're not blind.
1 minute.
You're not deaf. Listen to the voices that are out here asking for you to support the police, the firemen, the paramedics, which are so essential to the well-being of any community, anywhere.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
I was here Wednesday. I think you remember me. I'm Lucy Delgado from Boyle Heights. I don't want to take up your time again, but please listen to these people. Listen to us, please.
Thank you. Mr. Bill Murray was our next speaker. Is Bill Murray here? If not, Luis Martinez.
My name is Luis Martinez. I'm representing Comité de Padres Pro Defensa del Estudiante, Comunidad, Igualdad de Derecho, which means in English, el comité. Please, vote yes for 1 cent, not for half a cent. Señor Councilman Villaraigosa, por favor, no nos dejes morir solos. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. Howard Oler. And then David Nichols will be our next speaker after that.
Good morning. Howard Euler, representing the Central San Pedro Neighborhood Council. Our impact statement clearly indicates our support for this kind of measure. And so I'm urging you to vote for it. I want to thank the 9 who voted for it the other day. You show your commitment to public safety. You show your commitment to democracy by giving the voters a chance to vote. You show your commitment to hope for young people to grow in our inner cities, to have a healthy life. Your concern for all of this is touching. To the 6 who went the other way, you know how critical I am of you. You're anti-democracy. You are oligarchs. Please reconsider your position You're better than that. You're bigger than that. Let us vote. And above all, put this measure above mayoral politics. I sat on the corner yesterday with about 200 people at 12th and Palos Verdes in San Pedro, where a kid was mowed down the night before. 32 officers were taken from our community. You six have the luxury of sitting here. I'm in that community. I see the blood, I see the pain. We need this money, not just for police, not just for fire, but for the youth intervention workers that we have such a gross lack of. You're at a historic moment where for the first time in the roughly 45 years I've been involved in inner city youth development and family development work, where public safety is now, where youth development work, intervention work, is considered a key part of public safety. This is the first time in the history of Los Angeles that we have gotten there.
Okay.
And you're vitiating the chance to do something for our kids by your negativity and your mayoral politics. Rise above it. Mr. Padilla, please, I am begging you. You have the 10th vote we need. I sat with you on several press conferences where you reflected on your life as a young kid at Blythe Street. I work in a community that's identical to Blythe Street. Been there for 28 years. Please reconsider your vote. We need that 10th vote. Make those speeches that you gave in the last couple of 3 years seem real to me. Let's move past the mayoral politics. Vote for it.
Sorry, go ahead. And then to be followed, do we still have Cunningham Jr. here? David Cunningham still here? I know we've got, oh, there you are. Excuse me, Mr. Councilmember, you will be next.
Good morning, members of the City Council. I'm David Nichols, and I have the pleasure this year of being the Vice Chairman of the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce. I stand before you today to discuss the proposal to levy a 1/2 cent sales tax for additional police officers, firefighters, and related emergency services. As you all know and dramatically know, public safety is of utmost concern. It's also one of the most important services the government can provide to its citizens. Now, the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce is most supportive of Chief Bratton and his department to make our city safer. And in fact, at the executive committee meeting yesterday, one of our members related her experiences as a business person with Chief Bratton, not only in Boston but New York, that provided a strong endorsement to provide him with the tools that needs to get the job done here in Los Angeles. Now, last month, the Los Angeles Chamber appointed a special task force to review the sales tax proposal and other mechanisms for providing these resources. We would like to fully commend Councilmember Smith for his proposal and the whole council for supporting it as a way to attack part of the problem, but I think, as you all know, much more needs to be done. And although none of us wants to pay additional taxes, certainly not businesses, we have gone on record in the past of supporting those rare occasions where the priority to be funded outweighed the negative associated with the additional taxes. And because of the timing of the City Council's process and also the decision-making process of the Los Angeles Chamber, we were not ready to share our position with you, unfortunately, until today. The Chamber is willing to support the proposed tax increase with the following conditions. The measure be amended to require that the Community Safety Oversight Committee must include representatives from the business community. Also, the measure be amended to provide the sales tax have a 10-year sunset provision that would require the voters to reauthorize the measure or it will expire at the end. There is also a lot of concerns about allocations in this measure to construct more police stations. The LA Chamber signed the ballot arguments on Prop Q, and we would prefer this proposal concentrate on hiring more police. Again, we appreciate your willingness to look at this issue again. We appreciate your time, and thank you for letting us voice our opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Labange?
More, please, if I could, just for the last three speakers. Thank you.
Okay, is there any objection to additional 3 minutes, and we'll make sure it's on the other side as well? If not, okay. Mr. Cunningham is our next speaker to be followed by Mr. McCosker. I'm sorry. Councilmember Cunningham.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. To the President and members of the City Council, my name is David Cunningham, Jr., former member of the Los Angeles City Council. I have sat in that circle as you are now doing. I simply came here this morning to simply say to you, you know the issue. You know the tension. You know the problems that we face. I know how difficult it is to make these decisions. But one thing about giving it to the people to make the decision, to vote it up or to vote it down, to have a clear discussion, a clear debate in the public arena, to make a decision whether we want to tax ourselves, and I too am a businessman in this great city, if we want to tax ourselves additionally, to try to achieve the kind of safety and the kind of intervention and to try to prevent some of the kind of activities that go on within our community, we can either say yay or nay. And you know how difficult such a campaign will be. So all we're asking for, I join with those who say, let's give the people a chance to say no if they want to. If they want to say no, that's well and good. You've done your job. If they want to say yes, God bless them. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Pat McCosker, next speaker. Then we have Claudia Andrade, Lee Warkner, and Billy Yang.
Mr. Chairman, will there be enough time, do you suppose, for the gentleman behind me? If I have about a minute and a half worth of comments, do you think that there will be time for this gentleman to finish his couple of minutes?
Mr. Yang is the final speaker in the queue, so it depends on the folks who follow you, or whether there's a motion to do that.
I'll try to make it fast then.
Okay.
Thank you. You know, I came before you a couple of days ago and I made an impassioned plea for you to support this measure. I talked about the lives we would save. I told you about the paramedic ambulances that are closed at night and the places where we don't even have paramedics on ambulances. And I read a long list of neighborhoods and I was appealing to you, come on, help us here. We want to save lives. You had a healthy debate after I got done talking and the other speakers. And you know what I heard from all of you is that you all support public safety. And I've worked with all of you long enough to know that each member around this horseshoe cares about public safety and about saving lives. I heard you also say, though, those of you that voted against it, that you were concerned that this measure wouldn't pass and that we'd lose our opportunity. So I'm going to take, your word on that. I'm going to take you on face value on that and address just that issue. I really think this measure will pass this time around, and I'm asking you to give the folks a chance to make the call themselves. The reason I think it'll pass, it got 64% here in the city last time around, and it was only about police officers. And I think it was a little bit mismanaged, the campaign, the message that they put out there. On that same November ballot, the Prop 1A measure that talked about the firefighters and paramedics, and really only talked about that would be put in place by that measure, passed with about 80+% of the vote. So this time, with the gang intervention stuff that you'd have to talk about and offer the people, with the paramedic service that we'd have to offer the people, with the proper staffing of fire trucks, we can get this done. At least give the people the opportunity to make the call for themselves. We will be working hard. If you put it on the ballot, we'll campaign hard. We'll do the heavy lifting, if you will. So please give us the opportunity. We want to save lives. We have the opportunity to save hundreds of lives between now, November when this thing passes, and whenever we'd be able to get around to it, waiting for the national economy to turn around. So please give us the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Claudia Andrade? Yeah. This, if there's no motion, this will be our final speaker because we have 1 second left.
Go ahead.
Mr. Okay, why don't we do that at the end of the speaker?
How many cards you got left, Mr. President?
There are 2 speakers after Ms. Andrade.
Okay, so 3 minutes and that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Please use the 1 minute rule.
Is there any objection to
The
that?
1 minute rule. Put your hand up so they know.
Is there any objection to that? If not, we'll add 3 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I attended my first city council meeting Wednesday, and I am in Mr. Smith's constituency. And I was a little amazed that Mr. Smith, Mr. Weiss, and Mr. Zion opposed or were no's on this vote. And I attended last month's ComStat meeting where I believe we can say that the Valley Bureau is the apple of LAPD's eye. The numbers were good. They were commended for the work that they were doing. So I was a little confused to see a no from you gentlemen when we really are doing well with law enforcement in the Valley. Mr. Zion, I was very disappointed with your comment relative to referring that you were only going to get 20 officers. The way ComStat works, you get, the officers are deployed where the area they're most needed. So apparently, if there was a need there, you would have more. But my biggest concern is that as a public administrative student, I've been quite impressed with Chief Bratton's ability to bring accountability to public administration. In my opinion, a no vote on this means that you don't stand for accountability in public administration. And I would consider any changes that perhaps you're reconsidering the excellent job that he has done not only in New York but is now doing here locally. Please don't make it about politics. Please don't make it about the mayoral race. Make it about accountability in public administration. That used to be a non sequitur. I'd like to see it different. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Lee Wochner, and then followed by Billy Yang.
Hi, my name is Lee Wochner. I work often in the intersection of arts and community. And I've met with most of the members of this council at one time or another to talk about arts and public service issues. And I know that there are people of good faith on this council. So I don't think that politics is playing a role here. I think that everybody here cares about kids and public safety and you're trying to figure out how to do it. When people of good faith can't reach consensus, sometimes the way to go is to broaden the circle, to widen the circle, to open up the discussion, to give the opportunity for a fuller debate. And so the only thing I would ask you to do today, as a parent, as a citizen, as somebody who cares deeply about public infrastructure in the city of Los Angeles, can we get one of you to sign on to open up this debate so we can have a few months to really let the people talk about whether they'll pay an additional 50 cents on $100? That's all we're asking for here today. You hear a room full of people asking you to please give us the time to have that debate, and if we vote it down, we voted it down. But you gave us the opportunity to have the vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wochner. Billy Yang.
Making Los Angeles a safer and better place to live and work. The safety, health, and quality of life of residents in my district are my top priorities as City Council member, and my goal is to make our city a safer and better place to live and work. I'm sorry to call you out, Councilmember Weiss, but this was taken from your website as your #1 priority, and as a merchant in your area whose father was murdered on December 18th, I don't see your actions reflecting your promise. And I hate to call you out, Councilmember Villaraigosa, but your district, your constituents, 67% for you, Councilmember Weiss, 70% of the people in your district pleaded, begged, give us more police officers on the street so we can go about our daily lives making an income and not having to worry about who's going to walk through our doors, gun blazing, and taking our lives. Give Chief Bratton the resources. Give the fire chief the resources. Please, I beg you. I beg you. One of you, two of you, please. This does not need to happen again. And I know this is, the reason I'm so animated today as opposed to the other times I spoke is because I know this is my last and final opportunity to plead with you guys. Please, just give us a voice. That's all we're asking. To give us the opportunity to go through the democratic process, to go to the polls and vote. Your people are asking for this. Just give us a voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yang. We'll now take speakers against the proposal up to 16 minutes. I'd like to call forward, I think we have 6 speaker cards. Jim McQuiston, Louis Navarez, Rodrigo Vasquez, Noe Orgas, Kim McGill, and Sancho Lopez. If you'd like to line up behind the microphone. And if we can reset the clock at 10 minutes initially, and we'll add 2 3-minute segments as well, if need be. Mr. McQuiston.
Jim McQuiston, East Hollywood Community Association. You all have my statements, I hope. Last Wednesday, this council voted what really is maxed out as far as training police for this year. Our training academy can't take any more applicants even if they wanted to right now. We'd have to expand that. We'd get into problems when we have everybody trained. So it's kind of a fiction to think that we can put on 1,000 police officers right away. Maybe 200, 250, maybe 300 a year. We have to find those people first, and then we have to train them. Now, you already have the funds in hand to take care of this whole year that's coming up. Even if we pass this, the voters might say, well, gee, you already have all this money. Why do you need more money this year? Why not next year? So we do have a problem of timing. The other problem is, as I say once before, we do not collect $220 million for trash pickup that we should be picking up. If we do what's right, and we all pay for our trash pickup like every other city does, we would have more money in hand right now than we'll ever get from this tax. So I urge you to do the right thing. Let's get this trash collection fee started, phase it in. We can pay for the police with that trash pickup. We don't need this tax. And then we won't have people asking, you're collecting all this money, and yet we still don't have the police because you can't train them. What are you doing with that money? And that might injure the city in the long run.
Mr. Navarez.
My name is Rodrigo Vasquez with the Youth Justice Coalition, I'm a youth organizer, and I'm here to, I'm not one of these older people with suits and ties that work in communities and claim to do all this work. I was born and raised in this community, so I stand here before y'all representing the youth in communities such as Boyle Heights, South Central, and Watts. If you want to help the youth, like a lot of you say you do, you could start by helping the youth by giving us jobs and youth centers, not more cops. It's bad enough people under 18 years of age can't vote, so don't have a voice in all this. So for them, I'm here. We don't need more cops, and if you really care about the youth and want justice, I hope you vote no and serve justice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is German Lopez. I'm with the Youth Justice Coalition, and I just want to say that we don't need more cops in the streets. They're just harassing and killing our youth. We already got too many cops in the streets. I don't know if you ever watched the news or something. We don't need no more. We don't need no more police. There's a lot. I don't know. Like I told you, we watched the news. We already got too many cops in the streets. Just imagine if we got more. There's a lot of more innocent kids gonna be dying by the LAPD or sheriffs. I mean, if we get more police, there's gonna be no future for our youth. I mean, I see the police now. I see them. I think they're like terrorists. They're the ones that carry the guns. They're the ones that got badges. And I just want to say thanks to Mr. Zaragoza for not voting no on Measure A, and we don't need no more cops in the streets.
Thank you. All right, next speaker.
Good morning. I'm also with the Youth Justice Coalition. I was here on Wednesday, and I wanted to respond to some of the
Excuse me,
arguments that I
Can
heard
I just
that
ask
day.
you your name, please?
Oh, Kim McGill.
Oh, thank you.
I think the first thing is the idea that a vote in LA County or LA City will somehow bring democracy is wrong. That most of our members can't vote, they're under the age of 18. That many people can't vote that would be opposed to this because they're undocumented. That many people can't vote because they're locked up and have been put in jail because this county and this city locks up more people than any place else in the world. So I think that the idea that a debate happens through a vote in LA County or LA City, where money is what determines the outcomes of an election, is false. Similarly, I don't think that this is where we can have a healthy debate, especially when this affects so many young people who are in school when city council hearings happen. Go to the schools. We can have you out in the streets and talk to young people out there and give you a sense of why young people are so opposed to this. We did a survey of young people in juvenile halls. Most of them, 85% of them, there for low-level things that are not even crimes, for running away, for truancy, for not having a place to stay. They get put in juvenile hall because we don't have enough alternatives in LA County. And the kind of stories that they tell about getting dropped off by the police miles from their home because the police want to drop them off in a so-called enemy territory, or getting picked up by the police and chastised about give me names when they haven't done anything criminal. That's why young people are so concerned about this initiative. I wanted to respond to some of the things Chief Bratton said in terms of his arguments. that more police would make his police feel safer, and then somehow Devin Brown wouldn't have been shot to death if the police felt safer. New York City has more police than any city in the country, and I was there living in the South Bronx when Anthony Baez, Hilton Vega, Antonio Rosario, Amadou Diallo were shot and killed by the NYPD. I don't believe that more police makes either the community or the police feel safer. I do feel it gives the police a sense of thuggery that they can get away with stuff like that. We need a civilian complaint review board in LA County and LA City, but the chief has worked against that, both in New York and here. That would make our communities safer. I just want to make two more comments. When I was here on Wednesday, there was 51 police officers sitting on this side of the room, here just to watch and listen. I'm assuming they were here during work hours. They are all in uniform. That's about $9,000 that could have been spent out on the streets with them policing and patrolling our streets. So it makes me question why we don't have enough officers. I live in Watts, and the cops chased through there the other day to arrest one young man who was unarmed in a car. By the time they got to Imperial Courts, I counted 64 police officers at Imperial Courts. 2 cops and 8 cops behind them bum rushed his door and took him out. The other 60, 50 cops that were standing there had nothing to do. There were 2 helicopters overhead. That's the kind of policing we have by Imperial Courts every day, every night. I don't think that the cops we're using now are being used correctly.
Thank you. Just as a point of information, the police officers were from the airport police that were here last time on their sick time. They made very clear, just for the record. Please, go ahead.
Good afternoon, my name is Luis Narvaez, and I'm here to say that necessarily more cops on the street did not better our streets or anything whatsoever. For a personal experience, I've had a broken tail light once. I've had an officer come, stop me, question me, gathered up a couple of officers. Now I'm talking about 6 to 7 officers to one person for a broken tail light, which had nothing to do with what are these, why am I being harassed over 5 cops? So more cops does not include, doesn't mean better, more safety, better streets. It doesn't necessarily mean, it just means a bunch of crooked people with more authority, harassing more people. It's more cops to one person. More cops to one person. What we need better is better alternatives for our youth. I'm a personal experience. I grew up as a troubled teen. Now I'm older and I'm a proud member of the local 409 Carpenters Union, which we're all of course, without incarceration, without having to do all that. All we need is just a little bit, something and an alternative. Incarceration isn't always necessary. Once someone comes out from incarceration, they're gonna go back. It's a known fact. Statistics prove it. It doesn't better anybody. It only makes someone even more troublesome. What I think is best is to have less cops in there, better alternatives for our youth to continue doing what they're doing. Like I said, I was with the Venice Community Housing Corporation, and they're also an alternative to troubled youth and teens. And now, since then, I've had a clean record. Run my name if you want. I could care less. I am now, like I said, Carpenter Union, Local 409. Find my name. You got it. Like I said, more cops doesn't necessarily mean better streets, more safer. No, not true. Don't waste your time and money. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate them. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Noel Orgaz. I'm also with the Youth Justice Coalition. I'm here to just say no, to please just vote no for this measure. A couple of reasons. The people already voted for it. They've been voting for it. November 2nd said it. They voted no. There's a lot of politics involved. There's a lot of gang intervention programs that people have been talking about today. These gang intervention programs do not come out because they have city contracts. All this money that's involved that they're afraid that they will lose because if they're asking for less cops. They work with cops. We know who these organizations are. This matter is bigger than just having more safety and all that. It's about young people coming to school and not only having to worry about what happened with their mom. Did their parents get fired? Are they still going to have food on the table? It's about worrying about police officers stopping them just because they have baggy pants on, because they're bald-headed, because they're black or brown. Those are the issues that people are worrying about after 3 o'clock when they're coming out of high school. A lot of the parents today were talking about we need more areas for children so they could stay out of trouble. Well, more youth centers is the answer. Keep the farm that the parents were asking for. Build more areas where indigenous models could be implemented. A lot of the programs that I see that are around are more European-centric, but here in Los Angeles we have our roots. There's deeper roots than Spaniard colonization. It's a lot deeper, and it's been proven that, to me, that it works a lot better when our indigenous roots are practiced. All of this will help better and improve the community, better educate families, keep young people out of trouble, if that's what you want to say. Because to me, I don't think that no young person gets put into trouble. It's just that the life that we're forced to lead puts us in these certain positions. All this would be better if you want to raise taxes. Put a half-cent tax on sales. Put it for alternatives to incarceration. Put it for more youth centers. Put it for something else but police officers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for your comments today. That closes our public hearing on this item. I know the Chief has a few things to say, but I'd like to call Mr. Villaraigosa, who'd like to address some of the specific items that were brought up by his constituents. Mr. Villaraigosa.
First of all, I want to thank Father Moreta and all of the folks from my district, my constituents, my friends. I also want to clarify a few things. I know about those murders, Father, because I go to every homicide. In fact, I was there last weekend at one homicide at 2:30 in the morning. Also at the one that you spoke about in Estrada Courts. I know about the violence in our community because I've led the effort to organize 80 neighborhood watches. There is no council office in the entire city that in the last year and a half has organized as many neighborhood watches as I have. I know full well that 70% of the people in my district voted for Measure A because I led that effort. I put $500,000, the largest single contributor. Jim Hahn put $10,000, Father, $10,000. I know very much about the need for police officers because just a few months ago, there was going to be a move to transfer some of the officers from Hollenbach to other parts of the city, and I raised my hand and I said, hold it. We're not going to reassign those officers from Hollenbach. We need more officers at that division. I was there with Officer Gaida and his family, on New Year's Eve as we celebrated the fact that he was such a great officer and that he gave his life for this department. I know full well how badly we need officers on the streets of Los Angeles. But Father, I can tell you this. I supported Measure A along with Sheriff Baca and all of the many people who supported it, including many of you, because it was good public policy. It was comprehensive public policy. It was a half-penny sales tax for the whole county. It addressed the fact that we don't have enough LAPD officers or sheriff deputies. You and I know that many of the people that get arrested now serve about 25% of their sentences in the county jail. Measure A would have allowed more sheriff deputies to be there to keep them in there, more prosecutors so that we can prosecute these cases. It would have put a half-penny sales tax on all of the businesses, not just in the city of Los Angeles, but the whole county. It was comprehensive. It was good public policy. It had the unanimous support of this council. This proposal, however, is something different. A few of you have mentioned mayoral politics. You're right. It is about mayoral politics. It is about 4 years of failed leadership in this city. 4 years of Mr. Hahn unwilling and unable to get the 1,000 new cops that we need in this city. I am here today to say to you that I am committed, and the demonstration of that commitment is that standing tall with Mr. Smith, who, by the way, supports Jim Hahn, standing tall with him, we put a proposal that was unanimously supported by this council to put 300 officers on the streets of Los Angeles. We're doing that living within our means, within our budget, drawing down the money from the state, from the Vehicle License Fund, drawing down the $20 million in unused monies from the federal government that this administration has failed to use over the last 4 years. And so, I say to you, sometimes in public life, you have to have the courage of your convictions. You have to stand tall even when your constituents disagree. I would hope that when you look at that record, an unparalleled record in the last year and a half, a committed record of working with you to organize our neighborhoods to keep them safer, one thing is clear. I will continue to do that. We will support every effort to put more police officers on the streets of the city of Los Angeles, but this half-baked proposal doesn't have the support of the city, and it doesn't work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Villaraigosa. Our next speaker, Mr. Labange. I know the chief wanted to say a couple of remarks. Would you like to have him
I'd like
first?
to
Mr. Labange?
answer Mr. Villaraigosa just a little bit. Father and everyone here, it's great to be here. You talk about not being political, but it is political. Everything's political. But the only opportunity, I think, is if we have a chance to vote for it. The people have a chance to vote for it. We have to decide. And I think for your great leadership as a former speaker, you were able to raise $500,000 and able to contribute that. And I wish it was a better campaign. We all wish it was a better campaign. So I think it was a benefit of your past job that allowed you to use that money to try to get a message out. But now the message out that the 9 are trying to get is just let the people vote. Let the people vote. And I think the young men here who are today, who I respect, who have a different feeling than I have, I think it's important because the first time in this whole argument, and it was out of Chief Bratton's words in front of Parker Center after we were defeated, that there has to be a process between police and the engagement of after-school programs and intervention. It's an equation now that is linked together that Chief Bratton spoke of right after the election that Martin has been advocating for. But Antonio, what if you couldn't, and if I could get personal, since you got a little personal there, what if you said, I want to try to convince the people of Los Angeles that we should raise our sales tax to help after-school programs, to help paramedics, to help police officers. So not just in one neighborhood of the city or the county, they got it made in Palos Verdes or San Marino. We have challenges in Los Angeles, and we need help. We need help to give an opportunity to vote. That's all. I think that's all what the 9 are saying for, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. We didn't deny the people the right, and your quote, Ms. Gruhl, if I could just borrow it, on the secession issue. Some of us wanted, I'm passionate about this whole big city of Los Angeles. I didn't want to see it ripped apart, but there was a process that allowed it to vote, and it was defeated. There's a process that allows us to vote, that we should exercise it because it's good for the people. And campaign yes or no for it, but let the people have an opportunity. Let the people have an opportunity. Thank you very much, and thank you, Antonio. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. And Ms. Hahn is our next speaker again. Okay. Chief, would you like to make your comment at this time, and then we'll hear from Ms. Hahn and Mr. Zine and Mr. Ludlow.
We'll see if we can give you a brief period of quiet. Thank you for the opportunity this morning. Thank you for the continuing debate, discussion, and willingness to listen on this issue. It's very important. There is no issue more important than public safety. There are several things that I want to raise with you briefly and why I'm so passionate on this issue, because I'm concerned as we move forward, despite all of your support publicly, certainly vocally, and in this chamber, that I do worry about the ability next year, with all the various ideas that have been moved forward, to increase the size of this police force. I'm very appreciative of Councilmember Greg Smith's and your unanimous support of the effort to use the BLF revenues to fund approximately 260 additional officers. I hope that as we move closer to the end of this fiscal year and you start debating the budget for next fiscal year, that the promise you have made is fulfilled to hire those police and not use that money to deal with the approximately $300 million structural deficit that you're dealing with. I'm also concerned that what we have been proposing, a sales tax that would not rest solely on the shoulders of the residents of this city. There are in excess of 5 million people a day who come into this city from outside to work here, to play here, to go to school here, who would share that burden. It would not be on the shoulders of the residents of this city alone. It would be shared. Your alternatives come the close of this year and as you debate the next fiscal year to try to fulfill the promise of doing more for the police department and for the residents of the city. I think you're going to be encumbered by the reality of that structural deficit and the idea that your options are so limited. Parcel tax that rests solely on the shoulders of those who own buildings, a trash fee that will rest solely on those also who basically put out those trash buckets. The options are to have the residents of this city solely pay for the police force, which also services those many millions of visitors and people who come into this city every day. Sales tax is actually the best way to spread it around because they benefit from the services of the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm not servicing just 3.5 million people. I'm servicing every day in excess of 8 million people. And lastly, the events of the last week have really driven home just how tenuous the issue of public safety is in this city. And the reality for so many in this city, particularly in South Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, and elsewhere, of the lives they lead. They live in fear of the gangbangers. Unfortunately, some have great fear of the Los Angeles Police Department. We can change that. We can make that area safe. We can make those areas safe. I have committed to you that we in the Los Angeles Police Department, as officially supported, would get crime down 50% in 3 years. I'm asking to be given that opportunity because I know we can do that. And if we make South Los Angeles safe, if we make Boyle Heights safe, we reduce the racial tensions that are always just beneath the surface in this city. You cannot deal with those tensions without making the neighborhoods that so many of those people suffer in safer. We have that ability. We just want the opportunity to try. I'm so adamant about the sales tax initiative because I do truly believe that we can get it done. I do truly believe that despite your best wishes and your fervent desire, and you are united in public safety, I just do not believe, as I look toward next year, that any of the options that any of you have presented are likely to come about. County supervisors are not going to vote for a county sales tax. You're dealing with a horrendous budget deficit. You're going to be looking to use money to keep libraries from being closed, to keep streets paved. So despite the interest in public safety, I just don't think that you're going to be able to do it. I'll take the 260 officers. I hope you vote that money very quickly because the closer we get to June, I worry about the temptation to use that money to keep libraries from closing, to keep other city services from being reduced. That's why I'm so passionate for it. I will keep at it. It is not my responsibility, ultimately, to get more police. My responsibility is to control them, to use them effectively. I think we have clearly seen with the support that you have given us in your districts that we have been able to do that. Crime is down, but it's not down nearly enough. The ultimate responsibility for more police is you, the elected representatives of the city, the mayor and you. And I'm going to continue pleading with you. I'm going to continue to work very hard. I got 9,000 great cops who are really working hard. You know it, you see them, you deal with them. And many of you, like Antonio Villaraigosa, are out to many of these murder scenes in the middle of the night because you want to be there, you need to be there. Well, our cops have to be there, but there are just not enough of them. So on behalf of those 9,000 cops and 3,000 civilians that support them, that's why we're so passionate. Thank you for the opportunity to once again speak on behalf of those men and women of this department and the people they serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Bratton. Our next speaker on the queue is Ms. Hahn. Our next speaker on the queue right now is Ms. Hahn. If any member would like to, in their own time, invite somebody else forward, we'd be happy to entertain that.
Chief Amata, would you like to?
I think Chief Bratton covered a lot of the issues that I was going to cover. I think rather than rehashing those, what I've found the last 2 days is sometimes I'm wondering what's the issue we're voting on here because of the politics that have been involved with this. I was asked to read the Times editorial today because it represented somebody's position. On that same editorial or that same page, if we look to put this on in November or later, we're going to take a number. There's 70 initiatives that are queued up for the November election at the state level or here. We'll be competing with those to try to get the interest. We're not asking you here to determine the vote. What I'm asking you is don't let the pollsters tell us whether this is going to be successful or not. If I lose this, if Chief Bratton and I are unsuccessful, let it be the voters that tell us that we can't pass this. That's all we're asking for is that opportunity to keep this debate. We talked about healthy debate. It is healthy. You all support public safety. Give us a chance for another 5 months, 4 months of that to continue this debate, and then make that determination whether it's going to be successful or not. I ask for that 10th vote.
Thank you, Chief Bimatri. Our next speaker is Councilwoman Hahn, to be followed by Councilmember Zine, Councilmember Ludlow, and Councilmember Reyes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, yesterday, it was a bad day. Wednesday was a bad day because I was so disappointed in those of you who refused to let the public vote. Yesterday was a bad day, too, for me. I attended the funeral of Michael Gutierrez, 23-year-old young man. Just became a casual on the docks, personal trader at Bally's, a wonderful young man who had his entire life ahead of him. Shot down in the middle of the night because he was trying to keep the peace between one of his friends and a gang member who took offense at a tattoo. On my way back from the funeral, I got a call from my office who said, there's a group of neighbors who are organizing a couple blocks from my City Hall office in San Pedro. They've called the press, they've called photographers. They're going to march from 11th and Palos Verdes Drive to your office to demand that you tell them what you intend to do to stop this violence. They were meeting, and I said, tell them to stay where they are. I'll come there. And when I arrived, Howard Euler was there. When I arrived, there was a shrine, you've all seen him, put up on the corner in memory of Vincent, a 15-year-old who was gunned down shortly after our vote on Wednesday. He was gunned down with that famous question, where are you from? He was about to shop at the corner market. His mother said, be home in a few minutes. She was there, bent over, wailing in grief. The sister of Vincent was crying uncontrollably. And I had 200 angry people who were saying, what are you going to do about this, Councilwoman Hahn? How are you going to stop this? And you know, for those of you who voted no, you need to tell them why you won't let them have an opportunity to take matters in their own hands in the right way, to let them go to the ballot box and vote, to be willing to spend a half a penny in that corner grocery store on snacks that will go to pay for more police officers, more paramedics, more ambulances, more gang intervention programs that might have prevented that situation from happening. Because I can't tell them, Dennis, Antonio, Alex, I can't tell them why we're not letting them vote. And you also, those of you who voted no, you need to tell them what your plan is to hire 1,200 more officers. You need to tell them how, in God's name, we're going to get $30 million for gang intervention programs, after-school programs. I was surrounded by a bunch of kids, and I said, what do you guys do after school? And they said, nothing. We have nowhere to go. We have nothing to do. There are no programs in our school for after school. You need to explain to them what your plan is to prevent gang violence, what your plan is to hire more police officers. You need to tell them what your plan is to get those 24-hour ambulances that can save lives in the middle of the night. Because I can't tell them. I can't make excuses for you guys anymore. And you know what? One more final thing. You've all said the voters have voted on this several times and voted no. You know what? We've never given them this measure. We have never asked the voters of Los Angeles to vote on this. We have never said, you can vote on a half-cent sales tax that will buy us, Los Angeles, more police officers, Los Angeles, more gang intervention and gang prevention program, Los Angeles, more paramedics. We had a county measure. And people know that people aren't always secure in what that money was going to come to the county and how it really would get back to us. We have never asked them to vote for this. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Let the voters decide.
Thank you, Ms.
And Antonio, you can keep your crappy speeches for the candidate debates.
Mr. Zine is our next speaker. I would ask all members to try to keep things germane to the subject at hand. Mr. Zine, Mr. Ludlow, Mr. Reyes, and Mr. Smith.
This council has been on the same step for many, many issues. And it really saddens me to see the hostility that's being generated during this issue. When it came to Measure A, there was no hostility in this council. We all joined hands, as we normally do. But now I see the hostility, which is not positive for this body, not positive for the people of Los Angeles, not positive for the taxpayers of Los Angeles. There are members here who are running for mayor, and that's fine. But this isn't about, at least in my heart, this is not about the mayor's race. It's been said it's politics. We're politicians. Everything we do is political. There's no question about that. Our historian, Tom LaBonge, brilliant Tom LaBonge, says, rightly so, that it's all about politics. But for me, it's more than politics, since I've spent 37 years in the LAPD. And I worked last night, almost ambushed. I talked to Councilmember Parks about it. There are unsafe areas in the city of Los Angeles where Chief Bratton's officers have to travel to handle calls. And it was fortunate we did not have a shooting last night, but we used our experience, and we didn't get involved in a shooting, which could have ended up tragic. And the two partners that I were with afterwards met with a supervisor and explained what we were involved in. And I hear from people of the community. The one lady who mentioned pay for it, the San Fernando Valley has been paying dearly for many, many years. The San Fernando Valley wanted to secede from the city of Los Angeles. We put a charter together. Janice Hunt and I were members of that charter commission. We brought about neighborhood councils so the city would stay together. The people of my community, overwhelmingly, 46% in the recent poll said no. And when I see the community saying no, that sends me a strong message. The community has said no, and you want to give them the opportunity to say no again? 6 times they've said no. Do we ask them once again? I support Chief Bratton. I support our fire chief. I support the members of our public safety agencies. But I was thinking of another issue last night. I see Carol Schatz here from CCA. Somehow the muffler was taken away. Thank you. Business improvement districts, Carol. Our business communities in Hollywood, our fashion district, Little Tokyo, they're already taxing themselves. How much are they taxing themselves to provide public safety? How much are they taxing themselves to clean up the streets and the gutters? How much are they taxing themselves to do what we have an obligation as municipal government to do? They're taxing themselves because we're not performing the basic essential service that we're obligated to do. That's why we have business improvement districts. I have no criticism for the business improvement district, but it's born out of necessity because this council, this city, this government has not done what it's required and supposed to do. So now we're going to go back and add another half-cent sales tax. I am not supportive, and I've never in my life had so many people lobbying me on an issue, breaking my arm, figuring I'm going to be the weak link to break. To break what? To break what I in my heart believe? And I respect the general managers of the city who've been lobbying me in the mayor's office. And then the mayor calls for the recall of 2 of my colleagues. Well, let's just build the wedge, Mr. Mayor. Let's make the wedge so wide that there's never a relationship between this council and the mayor's office. And it is political, but it shouldn't get personal. And what bothers me is that we have said no, and we keep on coming back to the same table and saying no and no and no. I supported it along with everyone else when it was a county measure, and what we have is a fragmented council and a fragmented community in my valley, the San Fernando Valley, that has said, you're going to give us 214 officers, and all the other resources are going to go to other parts of the city. because the lady said, and I know how CompStat works, we deploy where the demand is urgently needed. But it's needed in the valley where my residents are paying extremely high taxes and not getting the service they're paying for. So we need to analyze. Let's come back to the table. Let's work with the mayor. And I'm for consolidation of departments. I'm for elimination of some of the programs that we have. And I think many of us will say, Mr. Mayor, bring us a budget that we will work with. And Janice Hahn, you mentioned about
If I can ask you to
what are we
conclude,
going to do? Well, I asked what the mayor, what he's going to do. He presents the budget to us. We don't present it to him. We then go through that budget. So it's incumbent upon the mayor, instead of creating a wider gap. I rode over the Rio Grande one time on a motorcycle. It's a huge, the Rio Grande. Well, the mayor's got double the Rio Grande with what he's created in this council. And he needs to do a lot of bridge mending between now and that budget time, or he's going to find some serious problems when he's attacking members of this council, including me, at a meeting that took place in the downtown area. And I've never been at odds with the mayor. I've supported the mayor. Along with my colleague Greg Smith, this is not about animosity towards the mayor. This is about take this issue and do something with it, and give us the 250 officers of the VLF. But it's becoming too divisive, it's becoming too argumentative, it's becoming too combative, and we need to come with a resolution. And I would say we could sit here for 3 more hours, or 3 more days, or 3 more weeks, but it's not going to change. What needs to change is to come with a plan, with a solution, and knock off all the politicking and the lobbying, because nothing's going to change as long as we keep fighting back and forth.
Our next speaker is Mr. Ludlow.
Call the previous question.
Mr. Ludlow has called the previous question. Is there any objection? Objection, Mr. Reyes. So let us vote. Okay, on that, if we can please open the roll on calling the question. Please open the roll. Please, we have 2 speakers on the queue, so you know it's Mr. Reyes and Mr. Smith. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes, 4 noes.
Okay. Do we have any mistaken? Okay. But that would not change the outcome, so the question has been called. All right, colleagues, we have before us the item. Everybody is familiar with it, so Madam Clerk, if you'll please open the roll. Yes, Mr. Ludlow? Yeah, Mr. Clerk, Mr. Clerk, if you'd like to tell the council what we have before us.
The resolutions and ordinance that would put a proposed 1/2 cent sales tax increase measure before the voters on the May 17, 2005 ballot.
Okay. Just in case anybody thought we were... no, we've closed debate, Mr.
But
Labange.
a technical question.
Is it technical?
What happened?
Is it informational on the
Today's
vote?
the 95th day, so we've got to act on it today, right?
I would ask Mr. Martinez to answer that
Mr.
question.
Martinez, if you'd like to come forward just on the technical point of information.
Does that mean we could reconsider it on the Tuesday? I just want to know that.
On that point of information, Mr. Martinez.
Point of information, thank you.
Tom calls me up, I'm always a little nervous, but no, this is the last day to act. It's City Election Code Section 342 says you have to act at least 95 days before the election.
Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, City Attorney's Office. The deadline is jurisdictional. Today is your last day to act.
Okay.
Cannot.
Today's the final vote. I think we know it's before us. We have our deadline. This is the last day. Madam Clerk, if you'll please open the roll. Everybody, the roll is now open. Please ensure that you have your vote. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
9 ayes, 6 noes.
The measure does not pass. Our next order of business will be to take up Special 1, if we can recess the general meeting. Mr. Clerk, if you'll call the roll for the special meeting.
Actually, the roll's already been called on that, Mr.
Okay.
President.
Let's take up item number 1. If you'll please let the body know what the measure is.
Item 1 was being held on the desk for questions to be answered by Councilmember Padilla.
Okay. I think we're going to move to public comment first, Mr. Padilla.
That we reopen public comment. We did hold public comments, colleagues, in committee a couple of times on this item, but I know several members of the public are here to speak. I'd move just a 5-minute public hearing. I don't think there's too many cards. And then after public comment, I'd invite the staff to come forward to answer some questions.
Okay. We have a large number of cards on the for side and a single card on the against side. I'd like to invite up our first speakers on the for side, Mr. Gene Hale, Carol Schatz, Cheyenne Cook, Don Garza, and Dr. John Crayon as our first speakers, and we'll see if that exhausts the time. We'll be sure to read all of these names into the record if we can't get to all the speakers. Initially, we'll put those 5 minutes on. Is Mr. Gene Hale here still? Okay, Ms. Schatz.
Carol Schatz, President of the Central City Association, representing over 450 major companies, employing 300,000 people in the Los Angeles County area. Our association has long been on record in support of a convention center hotel. And we believe that the deal that you have before you is an extremely important deal for you to approve. There is very modest assistance as you compare this deal with other deals that have been made for convention center hotels around the country. It is impossible to build a convention center hotel because of the tax laws without some kind of assistance. And we are waiting to see this deal and this hotel as the pivotal part of LA Live really continue to turn the lights on in downtown Los Angeles. We know that Staples did that. We know that Staples is helping to activate the convention center. But this whole project, with this as a cornerstone, is absolutely imperative to continue this revitalization and make this the regional draw that will bring conventions in from all over the country. The issue is not just rooms, the issue is location. And conventioners require a hotel immediately adjacent to the convention center itself. So we strongly urge you to support this deal. It is important to the city, it's important to the region, and it is very important to downtown Los Angeles. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Schatz. Mr. Ale, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm here. Good morning again. Again, on behalf of the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce, I'm here to lend our support to this important project. We have a history in working with AEG and some of the downtown development projects. When Staples Center was built, it created 8 different subcontracting opportunities for our members, and it also created 45 temporary construction jobs. We just believe that this hotel would help develop this area in a way that it has not been developed in the past. Simply put, people are not going to come to a town where they have to walk 3 miles to get to the convention center. So again, we support this project and we urge your support as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheyenne Cook, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Cheyenne Cook. I'm with the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm here to offer our support for the Convention Center Hotel and the LA Live project. They are critical for the continued development of downtown Los Angeles. Los Angeles needs more hotel beds. We're tiring of conventions going to our neighboring regions, and we need to bring them back to downtown Los Angeles. We encourage you to support the already agreed MOU and the development of Los Angeles. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Don Garza.
My name is Don Garza, and I'm a resident of downtown Los Angeles. It's common sense, folks. It's common sense. If you were out wandering around Los Angeles like I was this past weekend, and you saw peoples in groups of 30 using our public transportation system, going to the Grove, going to Hollywood, going to the East Side, asking me how to use the public transportation system, tons of people, and I had an opportunity to talk to these people at this convention, this choir convention. And you know what they told me? They said they liked being here. They wanted to come here for the convention. I got a chance to talk to these people, and they were spending money in our city. Common sense is we need a convention center hotel. We need more people to come use our convention center because you know what? They want to come here and not just go to conventions. They want to go to Venice. They want to go all over the place. They want to go to the East Side. I was telling them, hey, I know where El Tepeyac is. You get the best burrito in the world. Go out that way. Go Lincoln Heights. Go all over the place. Go to Chinatown. They want to come here to these conventions, get them a hotel, get all of these hotels benefiting from this convention center hotel, It is common sense, folks. They're going to spend money here. If they want to come, people are going to tell you that old saying, build it and they'll come, is a lie. But in this instance, if you build that convention center hotel, they are going to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. John Creighton.
Mr. President, members of the council, my name is Dr. John Creighton.
Could you just lift the microphone up a little so we can hear you better?
I am the Director of Development for the Pacific Asian Consortium of Employment, or better known by many as PACE. We have been very fortunate and appreciative of the opportunity we've had to work with many of you, and have been especially graced by those of you that have spoken at our breakfast speaker series. We look forward to inviting others of you. We very briefly want to express our support for this MOU. As you know, the Pacific Asian Consortium in Employment is a community development organization. We are located a few blocks from the Staples Center and the proposed Convention Center Hotel and the LA Live Development Project. As such, we can see tremendous community economic benefits developing from this project, and as a result, we also anticipate significant opportunities for the clients we serve. For example, our WorkSource Center, funded by the city, is within a close walking distance to this project and is the closest of any city WorkSource Center. With projections that LA Live will create 19,000 jobs, we are excited that our clients will have the opportunity to be trained, placed, and employed among the numerous hotel, retail, office, and entertainment jobs that result from this effort. Further, clients of our Business Development Center, also funded by the City of Los Angeles, will receive assistance from the center in a variety of areas related to the project, including assistance in becoming vendors to the businesses that are a part of LA Live. These are just a few of the many potential advantages this project offers the over 28,000 clients we serve. There are others await as well. Our offices happen to overlook the Staples Center, and it's a very beautiful site, especially at night. The proposed hotel that will go up will actually interfere with that. However, we would like nothing better than in the very near future to look out our windows and see cranes swinging in the air and new buildings on the rise. In this development, we feel very needed for the city of Los Angeles. We believe the LA Live Development Project is good for the city, good for the economy, and good for our citizens, including those citizens served by PACE. Therefore, we strongly encourage the City Council to approve the MOU for the Convention Center Hotel as part of the entire LA Live Development Project. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the number of people whose cards were called for we had 5-minute public hearing. I will recognize that there were 25 other cards, speaker cards here in support, and they will be made a part of the record. We will now move to those in opposition, and there was one card submitted. Let me call forward at this time Mr. Christopher Sutton, and then we will hear from, there was one person who submitted a card with no, just general comments. Is Mr. Sutton present? Christopher Sutton. All right, then let me call a card that was submitted for no comment, or no, a general comment, Hector Marquine. Is Mr. Marquine present? If not, then that does close the public hearing, and let me recognize first Councilmember Padilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, colleagues, before speaking, I'd like to ask the CLA and the CAO to come forward and 5 minutes or less give an overview of the proposed MOU before us. The only thing I'll say at this time, and I do have a series of questions when you're done with your presentation, is as a reminder to everybody, this is not approving a deal today. This is not asking for final approval of any particular contract. This is what's before us today is only a framework for the negotiations so we can give them direction underneath this framework to go back and work out specific arrangements, specific numbers, and bring back a proposed final deal in the future. So on the framework.
Okay. As Mr. Padilla indicated, all this before you today is a non-binding MOU that authorizes us to negotiate. You also have before you an action to enter into a contract with PKF Consulting to assist us in the negotiations. In a nutshell, the framework of the MOU includes several issues. First of all, the proposal would be for the hotel to retain their own transient occupancy tax generated at the hotel for purposes of financing the construction of the hotel. We do have estimates from our consultant that indicate that notwithstanding that fact, upon completion of the hotel, the city would realize a net increase of $2 million in the competitive hotels in additional TOT. The MOU also would include a loan from the city. We'll come back to you with the specific sources of the funding for the loan, but the developer would pay that back, and that loan would be securitized, and it would be at least at the city's cost of funds. The MOU also calls for an investment in infrastructure of about $10 million. Fee deferrals and waivers, the proposal would be to defer certain fees with the exception of sewer fees, parks fees, arts fees, and fees that we collect for the school district or anyone else, other government agencies. Those fees then would be waived upon completion of the hotel when it meets the performance criteria that's set up in the DDA. Finally, the MOU requires that the entire LA Live development designate the city as point of sale for construction sales tax. We also will be working with the developers in using existing parking at the convention center to maximize the use and would be compensated for that. So in essence, that's what's before you. It calls for us to be back to you in 90 days with the definitive agreements, and this will enable us to go forward and negotiate the deal and bring back to you a final proposal.
My quick comments are just to urge your support for this next step. It's only the next step in this process to allow us to go to the table and bring back a structured deal for you that benefits the city. And recognizing that the challenges we have with the current convention center in servicing the debt will be improved considerably if we go forward with this deal. Thank you.
So thank you. And colleagues, I'll just call your attention to the materials that are part of this particular item, this particular file. We do have an original proposed MOU, which comes in the form of a transmittal from the CLA and CAO. We also have a report addendum, which provides additional information that was requested by committee. So what I want to do, colleagues, is take a few minutes to walk through some of the questions that have been asked in committee, both for the sake of getting answers to the questions if they're available today, or if not, at least to give you a sense for the type of thinking and the type of strategy that we're trying to structure in the committee. A reminder again that this is not the final deal. This is only the framework for the negotiations. But the big ticket item, let's just get to the big ticket item. You mentioned a figure for an estimated amount for transit occupancy tax over the course of 20 years. Can you repeat that dollar figure range again?
Approximately $100 to $140 million.
Okay. Well, colleagues, this is one of my basic questions. We're talking $120 to $140 million. TOT is a direct percentage of the room rates that are being charged. And so their only guess is at this point, we have no control over those room rates going up, going down. So this figure is really only a guess. And I think to protect the city in terms of how much money we're really forgiving here, we should entertain a cap. So yes, TOT over a time period, but put a financial dollar figure on as a cap, because if this hotel does well, or if all of a sudden it goes from one operator to a luxury hotel operator at $500 a night, you know, we're going to be kissing away a whole lot more money than this estimated $120 to $140 million. We have asked the staff to bring forward a sort of summary and evaluation of what's happened in other cities. Part of the argument that is pointed to for why this will work in LA is because of what's been done in St. Louis and Sacramento, in city after city after city. As we know full well, every city is different, and maybe the financial deals are different. So should be a summary of convention center hotel deals in other cities as part of our materials for review. I'm going to skip through here and not ask every question because I know Ms. Perry, the representative of the district, has questions. But we are cognizant of what could this mean for the city's TOT level. One of the arguments is that a new convention center hotel will not take away from other hotels, but in fact be a net increase in stays for all the hotels collectively. So as a starting point to serve as a benchmark, I want to see a TOT history here so that we know on a graph, not for any individual hotel, but for Los Angeles in general, if over the next couple of years we see an increase that argument has proven to be true. If we see a successful hotel but our TOT revenue is decreasing, then we'll know that they're actually pulling from other hotels, and I think that's important to measure and to safeguard against. Several of the public comment speakers in committee raised questions about the legality of some of these arrangements, and so we have asked the city attorney to provide multiple reports on the legality of everything from fee waivers to the value of the waivers and other measures. One of the points in this draft MOU is Los Angeles being designated as the point of sale for all construction-related purchases so that we capture as much of that sales tax as possible. So the committee had questions as to how that's going to be monitored and compliance ensured. We also wanted to take it a step further, and why not only designate Los Angeles as the point of sale, but why not require, or as close to require, all construction-related purchases to take place within the city and support City of Los Angeles businesses and establishments. We've asked for details on how the parking plan that they presented differs from that of Hollywood and Highland. Everybody's familiar with the mixed success and the obstacles that we experienced at Hollywood and Highland, to say the least. It wasn't what we expected. How is this going to be different? How is this going to be better? We've asked for consideration of an assistance fund comprised of TOT revenues to be made available to some of the underutilized theaters on Broadway and some of the other downtown hotels, a number of other items. One of the big concerns, a non-monetary contribution to making this deal happen, is fee waivers, but also we know that this project approval and construction is going to impact several city departments. It's not just CLAO and CAO staff, it's building and safety, it's planning, it's transportation, it's fire department, it's a number of other departments. So we need to put a dollar figure on what that impact is going to be, because that directly or indirectly affects the city's budget. I've asked for another step beyond that. Every single general manager of every affected department to report at the next committee meeting and also submit in writing what their plan is for dealing with this workload. Are they going to be able to absorb it without any negative impact? If it's going to mean additional staff, what's their plan for dealing with this, both prior to construction, during construction, and beyond? I'll end there, but I think you guys get the picture. This isn't an issue that the committee is taking lightly. We're taking it very, very seriously. Some of the information that we requested is now before us as part of the file, but a lot of it still is going to come back to us after the framework is adopted. I know Mr. Reyes, for example, has specific questions and concerns on traffic mitigation issues on the other side of the 110 freeway, not just on this side of the 110 freeway. But ultimately, colleagues, and I'll end with this, we're going to continue to push to bring the dollar figures down in terms of what the city is putting into this. We're going to ask for a reopener clause, if you will, just as we have with our employee groups, on if circumstances change, if the economy changes, how can we revisit this MOU under dire circumstances, or, and we all hope this is the case, if the hotel just does enormously well, you know, how can we seek further relief or out clauses from the city, because the hotel at that point wouldn't need as much assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Reyes.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to, thank the committee for their hard work. Unfortunately, I was at Planning, Land Use, and Management Committee while this was going on, so I didn't get a chance to address my concerns. And I want to thank my colleague, Councilmember Perry, for her support in these issues that have to do with traffic mitigation. But I first want to start off on a very positive note, and that is the developers have in the past already implemented open space requirements where the council district has been able to benefit in the creation and supplement of the Hope and Peace Park. So there has been very real contributions and support from the previous actions that the developer has been able to come through with. But more succinctly, I've been to several community meetings in the Pico Union area, right across, just over the freeway, right before you get into the eastern portion of the harbor. Right over the western area, we have very, very high density, large numbers of people who are living at or below poverty. What tends to happen is that we have overflow parking. People would just choose not to pay for parking. So they'll fill the streets on the western part of the freeway. When you have folks walking through, they're throwing their trash, they're littering, some who have been drinking, urinating on the sidewalks or on people's lawns. These are very real impacts that we need to address. So I would just want to be in a position to facilitate this project. I don't want to hold it back, but I think now that we're at the MOU and we're talking about the parameters of this deal, how we get to very real actions, either through some kind of a parking permit program, for me to impose this on people who are literally deciding whether they can pay their rent versus pay for their food, and yet be told they have to pay a monthly fee for parking just in front of their home to reserve their space. I don't think I'm asking for too much. So when we look at these real programs that deal with parking and quality of life issues, mitigation issues in terms of the sidewalks and how we make it less dangerous for the kids who are crossing on 10th Street School and the surrounding grammar schools there, there's a very real change that's going on. Right now we have 3 new primary centers that have been built in the area. We've got 3 high schools in construction. So the influx of kids and flow, all that good stuff, I'm hoping most of it is going to be in the evening anyway. But there will be occasion where there'll be other events in the daytime. I just want to be ready for that and do my job in protecting the communities I represent. So from that point of view, I need to put this on the record and lay that down so we can address this in a constructive manner and be very real as to what are the real products and what are the real programs that can come within the defined time as we talk about construction and we talk about all the different phases of this real good program, this real good project. So I just want to put that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Councilmember Perry.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And as Mr. Padilla said, this is just the first round, and now we get into refining the approach that we're going to take. We learned much from doing Staples, and I think this will be an even more beneficial, more enhanced, and it's a rare opportunity, but a good one when we see the confluence of the private sector, of the labor community, the nonprofit community coming together to the benefit of the entire city. So many of you know and have heard me say that downtown is a major employer for the region, the entire region, and that includes our friends from the forest reaches of the San Fernando Valley and San Pedro and all points. So this is a tremendous boon for the city and will complete the concept of a tourist destination. What's most engaging from my perspective is the opportunity to provide people with job opportunities, and these aren't jobs that were taken from neighboring cities, but brand new job opportunities, and it's quite clear that this will be jobs that are not only associated with living wage and prevailing wage, but opportunities on a major transportation corridor for people who so desperately want to work. For the young people, I know in my district and Mr. Reyes and my neighbors on either side, there's so many young people who are extremely hungry and eager to work, but not enough opportunity. And to be able to go to work within 15, 20 minutes of where you actually live will be something most of them have not experienced. The community benefits portion of this arrangement or agreement that we reach will be extremely important as we define the future and clearly indicate whether or not we really do place young people as a priority. And I hope will be an opportunity for us to continue to open the door with our supervisors in the county of Los Angeles on the lawsuit that's still pending on the redevelopment area so that we can take the tremendous amount of tax increment that will be generated from Staples expansion and to be able to build permanent housing for people who are homeless, workforce housing, people with special needs, so we can complete the real, true vision of what downtown should be, which is a fully, socially, economically integrated community that all people at all income levels can choose to reside. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Councilmember Labange.
Thank you very much. It's great to follow Jan Perry for her leadership that she's shown on this issue here. And Alex, I thank you for your leadership in this as well. My issue is the arts. And Mr. Fujioka, with this combination, I support this project. Start working tomorrow if you can. But the arts how do we make sure we preserve the funding for the arts within the TOT or within the arts fee? Because I don't want to see our Cultural Affairs Department be hurt. Could you explain that for me?
Well, this project will not impact Cultural Affairs' current funding level for the arts. And in
Great.
fact, we think, as this project proceeds, and in our report, we talk about the increase in TOT for some of the surrounding facilities and the other facilities being other hotels. This could have a very positive impact on a mid to long-term basis.
So Cultural Affairs won't be harmed, but may even be enhanced by this?
On a mid and long-term basis, it would absolutely be enhanced by this. Absolutely.
And also, if you just big a little out, Mr. Miller, I know I've talked to the proponents to look at a possibility to have some, similar to what we have here on the corner of First and Main, some recognition of our over 22 sister cities. We're an international city. I know they like to promote that, but if they could see that, to copy that with the architects that I know they'll choose to try to enhance the thing. It's a fabulous concept and idea, members. It's being fortunate to travel a little in my life. You go into towns where there's a activity and a center. I'm pleased in my district, but I want to see it spread throughout other districts as well. And as mentioned earlier by someone who was very involved in this, they spoke of John Ferraro. They spoke of how they would deliver on the previous project. They have delivered. They will deliver on this project. And it's great to see a component. One question is, Mr. Reyes spoke about the preferential parking on that issue. I know I could envision other citywide facilities, be it the Coliseum, be it the Hollywood Bowl, and the impacts on adjacent neighborhoods. How would you interpret that? And I know he has an area that has a greater need or similar need than other parts of the city as far as the parking districts. What do you envision? Or have you figured something out?
Well, if I understood your question, I mean, with regard to what Mr. Reyes indicated, there is in the existing specific plan and master plan that the council already adopted, there is a minimum of $100,000 to do these sorts of studies in the areas west of the freeway to do an analysis of the impacts. There's also certain money for other mitigations. But what we intend to do is bring back the issue specifically, at least with regard to areas west of the freeway, and see what additional mitigations can be achieved through the negotiation.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, so we look at that, how it would impact, let's say, the Coliseum or the Hollywood Bowl or any citywide facility, the Greek Theater that may have parking districts or potential challenges for parking districts around, so you can figure that out how we're going to.
Sure.
Thank you for the Sister City note that you would put in there, and thank you for Cultural Affairs and protecting them. And I'm very pleased that we're moving in this direction, long overdue for Los Angeles, and it's going to be a great addition to our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Councilmember Ludlow.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to rise in support of the item before us. I want to thank first our Council President for the wisdom to put a ad hoc committee together, to thank also and acknowledge the leadership of Jan Perry, the 9th District. This is going to be an amazing moment for the City of Los Angeles. One of the things, colleagues, we have before us, again, here is an opportunity where business and labor are coming together to work on a great project for the future of the city. I'm not going to call him up here, but I want to acknowledge the presence of Michael Collins from LA Inc. here. It's pretty undeniable what this hotel could do for the city of Los Angeles from a tourist standpoint. When you look at the recent numbers that have come out from LA Inc. in terms of where we are going to as a city on the rebound on tourism dollars spent, it's coming up. It is absolutely coming up, and everyone down here can take credit for that. We can take credit for that in many, many ways, but the story continues to be pretty undeniable. Without this downtown hotel, we're going to continue to be third best in Southern California, third behind Anaheim, third behind San Diego. We've got other parts of Orange County that are coming up along the ocean side. And so this is an important statement. And again, one of the things that has been sort of an ongoing question about when and where are the appropriate and responsible places for the city to put forward waivers of fees and putting forward some types of incentives. And I think this is one of those moments. The industry, the feeder industries that will benefit from this project are pretty significant, from those individuals driving taxi cabs to the hotel workers, the maids, the housekeepers, the bellhops, all the way down the line. These are hardworking Angelenos that are going to absolutely benefit from this project. The questions that were put forward predominantly from this ad hoc committee, which, by the way, included Budget and Finance, included Plum, included Conventions, Tourism, Entertainment, included the 9th Council District, are pretty thorough. And I think the responses that we've gotten here today and the work that our CAO and CLA have been doing have given everyone a great degree of comfort in moving forward with at least this next and critical step. I just want to conclude with a little note about the ability to support the other hotels in the downtown area. Obviously, a very passionate statement was made in committee by at least one hotel on this issue. The statistics that have been reported are pretty strong. All the hotels in the downtown area are going to benefit from this project. It's pretty clear. Each convention, there are over 500 that we ought to be able to bid on internationally that have not been able to come to LA, will come to LA. Every hotel in downtown, every hotel in the city of LA is going to receive the benefits of this great project. So I rise in total support of this. I appreciate the work that has been done. And in the words of one city person, Doug Ring, whoever wrote this project was brilliant. I think he had a little hand in it as well. But these are good statements. These are good public policy items. I can really want to put my thumbs up to our CLA, who's done a great job in trying to move this forward. So I rise in full support, and thank you, each one of you that are working on this.
Thank you, Mr. Ludlow. Councilmember Gruhl.
Thank you, Madam President. Pleased to stand up today and ask a few questions or add some things. I know, as many of you heard me before, this has been a project that has been on the table, I think, since my staff hates this when I keep saying the Bradley days because it shows my age and how long ago it was, but the Bradley days when they talked about putting in this hotel and the ability to help the convention center, which ultimately helps the city of Los Angeles in our tax base. I know that it was talked about in concept, and I've talked to representatives from the groups that are talking about this hotel, that the negotiating team should explore the feasibility of the capping of the TOT, and it wasn't necessarily clearly in the recommendations. The other item was to analyze the Brookins report. A lot of people have said that is actually a negative, and I'd like to see how that report was developed, and for the CAO and CLA to look at that and to kind of go almost issue by issue and item by item to say how you would look at that differently. I also want to just bring up, and I think as Mr. LaBonge mentioned, those of us that represent the Valley and the Valley's fair share, we'd introduced a motion before about looking at TOT distribution and serving the San Fernando Valley, and ask that we come back on that feasibility of looking at that and ensure that we're looking at the Valley. Colleagues, this is something that all of us have debated in the past and looked at a lot of questions. As mentioned, this is the beginning of the negotiations. This is our opportunity to give some direction to the CAO and CLA to come back for the best deal for the city of Los Angeles, and I think the city of Los Angeles as a whole. So I'd hope that you would add those items within your negotiating and make those verbal amendments. I'm assuming they are friendly amendments. I did talk to Ms. Perry about them earlier in the day as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Zine.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendy, for mentioning our fine San Fernando Valley. I want to mention that Richard Slauson's here representing the trades. People are going to get these jobs. And Mr. Lewicki, good morning. Welcome to City Hall at this late afternoon. The Convention Center, Staples, bringing activities. I know a recent conference I attended, there was a convention center, and there were 3 competing hotels, and there was a skyway linking the hotels together. And it was very comfortable for the people who attended this convention. What I find is we don't have a lack of hotel space. What we have is hotels spread all over. And we have massive traffic congestion and gridlock. So we build a hotel next to a convention center. People come to LAX, they get to downtown. We have now about 10,000 people living in downtown LA. It's gone from 3,500 to about 10,000. It continues to grow. So we've turned downtown to what we want to turn downtown into. So what this builds is not only jobs, but establishes a quality. When you go to a convention in a city, you want to be close to the convention center, and you don't want to have to travel miles away, whether it be from the west side or the east side or down in San Pedro or the San Fernando Valley, and spend a couple hours going back and forth. Now, we've got some couple hotels in the valley, but it takes so long to get to the downtown. It takes me about an hour and a half each day to come into work, and a couple hours going home. People don't want to do that, because when you go to a convention, normally the seminars start early in the morning, and then you go out to lunch and you go to dinner, and downtown is turning into an area where you can enjoy. It used to be a ghost land at night, and we've turned that around. We've got a lot of activities in downtown, which we didn't have in the past. So I support this, not that we don't have some hotels around, but the distance, the time, the effort to travel to those locations. We know our system of freeways is congested. Just to get from the airport to downtown on a Friday afternoon would take a tremendous amount of time. So what we do is create convenience for the conventioneers. We create business opportunities, we create construction jobs, and we help the economy of Los Angeles. And downtown wouldn't be rebuilding if it weren't for all the efforts taking place. But when I see all of the lofts, all of the residential components coming into play, and see this hotel, which will add to the ability of LA, and we know we need to attract more conventions, because when people go on conventions, there's an ability that they can spend those dollars in our region. So I'm fully supportive. But I don't think we've really touched on the inconvenience it is to go from other hotels in the surrounding area, whether it be Pasadena or West LA, into downtown LA where the convention's being held. So good job. This isn't going to jeopardize the hotels that we currently have, but it will encourage more people to come to Los Angeles and to enjoy what opportunities we have. The great weather, except for today when it's raining. So, and I want to thank the other representatives who are here. I know there's a whole bunch of you back there waiting for the yes vote to come around. But if it's anything like the last thing, we'll come back a few more times and make you come back a few more times before we do it. But count on my support for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Councilmember Padilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and colleagues, appreciate your comments. Clearly, we ask, as on behalf of the committee, ask for your support of this item. I forgot to mention this earlier, as a framework, everybody remembers the Staples experience and the various iterations of that agreement. You know, however it happened, by the time we got to a final agreement, it was one full of protections for the city, protecting the general fund, and clearly that project has been a big success. That's the starting point for these discussions. So for those people who are out there concerned about loopholes and taxpayer giveaways and all that sort of thing, please know that this is going to be airtight. It's coming with all the protections as the Staples Agreement did, if not more. And one of the things I'm personally happy that we're discussing is, I know a convention center hotel tied to the convention center in terms of marketing, and it's going to attract people from all over the country and all over the world. But we're looking to get something here for the people of Los Angeles. If we're helping finance this thing, then just like Disneyland does or Universal City does, there's a Los Angeles resident discount of some sort. That's something that we put on the table in committee. I know that's still being discussed, but there is one way or another going to be something in this for all the residents of Los Angeles. So I ask for your support, and I want to thank the staff for all their hard work thus far.
Thank you. That concludes the speaker's queue. The matter is before us as amended by Councilmember Gruhl, just asking for some information back and reporting by our CAO and CLA. So let us ready the roll, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, what remains on the desk?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Padilla requests to be excused Friday, March 4th to leave at noon for personal business. A motion is required.
Ms. Gruhl moves, Ms. Hahn seconds. Mr. Padilla is excused.
Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused Friday, February 25th to arrive at 11 a.m. for city business. That meets council policy.
Mr. Cardenas is approved to arrive late.
And Councilmember Gruhl requests to be excused on Tuesday, February 15th to leave at 11 a.m. for city business. A motion is required.
Mr. Ludlow moves, Mr. Labange seconds. Ms. Gruhl is excused.
That clears the desk, Madam President.
All right. Members, are there announcements? Any announcements, members? Mr. Labange.
Members, I'd just like all your attention to St. Valentine's Day is this 14th. So I just wanted to remember everyone to reach out to somebody and be polite, give them a hug and a kiss and a thank you. And happy Valentine's to you, Cindy. This is our last Valentine's together.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Any other announcements? Mr. Parks for an announcement? Oh, no, all right. Mr. Padilla, announcement?
Just an announcement. I'm standing at Mr. Reyes's desk for the moment and remembering that tomorrow there's the annual Chinese New Year's Day parade in Chinatown. Come one, come all. I believe it's at 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
All right. Are there adjourning resolutions? We do have adjourning resolutions. Could I ask everyone to please rise? Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, I ask that we adjourn today in memory of Elaine Weissman, who passed away on Friday morning, February 4th, 2005, the longtime head of the California Traditional Music Society, and she passed away after dealing with a long illness. She was honored by the North American Folk Music and Dance Alliance, who renamed their Lifetime Achievement Award after her. Members of my family knew her for many years and work with the California Traditional Music Society, and she really brought period music on original instruments to so many people here in the Southland, to young people, to senior centers, and in great concerts as well. She's survived by her husband Clark and 6 children, daughters Ellen Siddell, Susan Gelfound, Hillary Shannon Sky, Wendy Weissman, and sons Eric and Philip Granoff, and also 8 grandchildren. May she rest in peace.
Mr. Weiss will join in on that. Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a adjourning motion and ask that we adjourn in memory of Ann Clay Johnson, who is the mother of actress Anne Marie Johnson. She was a wife, mother, teacher, friend. She was a native from Los Angeles, graduated from UCLA, bachelor's degree, and she then went into a long career as an elementary school teacher. She was married for over 45 years to retired LAPD Sergeant Joseph P. Johnson, who had an extended career after leaving LAPD with Union Oil as an executive prior to his death in 1987. Together they had 4 children, Joseph, Victor, Vivian, and Anne Marie. Ms. Johnson was very involved in charitable organizations, enjoyed the theater, travel, and often accompanied her daughter on movie shoots throughout the world. She was a resident of Silver Lake for more than 50 years, and she leaves behind a number of relatives. Services are held at Forest Lawn at the Old North Church on Thursday, February 10th.
I'd like to second on that. I know the Johnson family, and I know she's been struggling, and she's at peace now, but Anne Marie, her daughter, is a beautiful member of our community. I know Mr. Garcetti knows her, so I think Mr. Garcetti and I would like to be added to that tribute in the Johnson family. And I remember her daughter, Anne Marie, telling me, Bernard, about their father, who I'm sure you knew, and how special that he was. So God bless.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I ask that we adjourn in the name of Henry Ortiz. Henry Ortiz, who worked for the Valley District Office of the City of Los Angeles Bureau of Engineering. Henry was a graduate of South Pasadena High School. He attended Pasadena City College, Long Beach City College. He was drafted in the United States Army in 1969 and served in Vietnam, where he was wounded in battle and received a Purple Heart. Henry retired from the Army in 1971, joined the City of Los Angeles March 1979, and worked for our Valley District Office for 26 years. That's the passing of a good city member of our family, Henry Ortiz.
Thank you. Mr. Zine.
Thank you. Request we adjourn in memory of K. Patrick Okura, passed away January 30th. Patrick Okura, 93, psychologist who was among the 120,000 Japanese Americans interned during World War II, who later established a foundation for developing Asian Pacific American leaders in the mental health field. He passed away of coronary disease at his home in Bethesda. Kiyosha Patrick Okura was born in Los Angeles, the eldest son of immigrant parents. Graduated from the University of California at Los Angeles with a bachelor's degree in science and a master's degree in psychology. He and his wife Lily were among 60,000 surviving Japanese Americans who in 1990 each received a $20,000 check and a written apology from President George H.W. Bush under the 1988 Civil Liberties Act. They used the money to further their efforts to educate Asian American mental health and human services professionals in how mental health services and policies are developed. He was president in 1962 of the Japanese American Citizens League, the oldest and largest Asian American civil rights organization. In 2002, he was inducted into the Monterey County Human Rights Hall of Fame. He'll be greatly missed by, he'll be greatly missed by his family and friends. He is survived by his wife of 63 years, Lily, of Bethesda, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. May K. Patrick Akura rest in peace.
Thank you. Any other tributes? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Council is adjourned.